You're listening to Zen and the Art of Endurance, your podcast for getting great at going long.
Race log, start 8. I don't know. I'm laying on the ground. I'm okay, but just barely. I'm laying on the ground in the shade, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It sounds real pretty, so I thought I'd get the birds and stuff, but I feel like I'm dying. I'm on mile 129 and a half. I've only got 18 miles to go, but I'm not sure I can make it. It got up to 103 in some places on the road. And fueling's all good. Hydration might be good. It's just so hot. A lot of people have quit, dropped out. Kai had to drop out because he went too hard too early. And it made him sick. Mile 85. And I felt really good. And then I started cramping in my left leg. And then my bike computer fell off. I have the little string thing, so I didn't lose it. But I've been having to stop and pull it out of my bike shorts leg to see where the next turn is, and everything I do causes a cramp. So I thought I'd lay down here on the ground. I got lots of daylight left. Well, I don't know. Some. Dude, 18 miles is well over an hour. Fuck. Anyway, I called Kai and Emily and Kylie. I told them, asked them to bring more water. I figure it's okay because race support was asking me if I wanted water a while back. And I said, no, it was okay. And then later I realized that was a bad idea. I can't tell if I'm seeing dots in the sky or is my vision being weird. Are they gnats? Anyway, okay, I think I'm feeling a little bit better. It's going to take a while for Emily to find me, and Kai, and Kylie. I don't want to quit when I'm this close, but I'm also really, really bad off. I was doing great, but I think the heat is just freaking insane. And sometimes, taking a break is pretty good. I didn't break very long at the aid stations. I just kept moving, rocking and rolling. So, okay, I'm going to do some fuel and a whole lot of water, since I know water's coming. And I get off the mic. I'm laying flat on my back on the side of the road in the shade. I've already had 2 people stop. Go, are you all right? I'm going to cramp trying to get up there. When you bend your body to get up, it's going to be a bad scene. All right, getting off the mic. Out. Well, hey there, all you endurance studs and studettes, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Endurance, the podcast where we go long on swimming, biking, and running so you can learn a lot about yourselves along the way. We have a whopper of an episode right here. So much has happened. We went and did Gravel Locos, which was absolutely crazy. And I've got some interviews from that. It's a 150-mile gravel bike race, pretty close by here in Texas, but it is filthy with European pros and American and Canadian World Tour cyclists as well. I sat down for dinner a couple nights before the race and found myself talking to Alex Howes, and then I had Lawrence Tendam, who's a Tour de France multiple-time finisher, and Ian Boswell on my left, and then down the table to my right was Nikki Terpstra, who won Paris-Roubaix back in 2014. And that's just some of the pros that showed up. And we all started together. But along with that, I also have for you today a quick interview with Iowa Gravel Gang, who is a YouTuber originally from Nigeria. And he is a big deal to have at your race. It was really nice talking with him. We talk about his perspective on putting first-person race footage on YouTube, which is something I'm actually getting into. We're going to talk a little bit about the Insta360 camera that I got for this race. And also we interview a rep from Usui, which is the hydration pack company out of Sweden, and just their domination in the off-road market. And this is the second race that I've done where I am at the starting line with Emily Joy Newsom, who is a phenomenal racer. And yet again, she got shortchanged by bad luck, mechanical-wise, out on the course. And I coach a college runner, a female college runner, and she was impressed she was asking how to get her heart rate down to go longer distances. And I showed her some of the results of some people that I coach and myself. They happen to be male, and she asked a question like, do you think I would be able to do something like that from, her end of things? And I said, oh yeah, check this out. Right there in the middle with all the males is Emily Joy Newsom. And just look at her mixing it up with them. And she's with them almost to the end of the race, and how she's in there in the mix with all of us guys and the top male pros as well for quite a while. And Megan is her name. Megan asked me, how long does she stay with the male pros? And I thought, I don't know. I'll ask her. So I reached out to Emily and asked her, and she said the following. And also I asked her if she would be on the show, and she said, yes. So we've got to get this show cranked out so that we can make room to make another show with an interview with Emily Joy Newsom, who also happens to be from Texas, which is really cool. I think we'll be able to hit it off pretty well and have a good conversation about training here or just in the heat in general and how she got to where she is. That'll be pretty cool. Emily said, hi, thanks for reaching out. Sure, I'll enjoy being on your show. How long we are with the men's field depends on the terrain and how hard they are racing. We can hang for a good amount of time if we position well, always a challenge, and conserve. Usually, we will finish a bit back from the top pros, male pros. Hard to match the physical benefits in a very fit pro male, smiley face, laughing face. And yeah, so that's definitely what I noticed is a lot of guys that aren't as good as the top pro males are able to keep up with them for quite a while. And a lot of the pro women are better than a lot of the guys. I remember my first few rides with pro females, and I was just blown away at how much better they were than me. And I thought I was pretty good, and they just demolished me. It's not even, I think I probably just sat there and just with my jaw on the ground and just like, whoa, you have to be an incredibly good male cyclist to be as good as a pro female cyclist. Okay, so we don't want to hang around on that too much. We're going to move on because we've got the race to cover here. Just real quick, how Kai and I did. Kai raced the pro men's field and we got video footage of Emily passing him pretty early on. And I raced age group. It's a lot like triathlon where everybody races the same course. And the unfortunate thing that happened for a lot of people is that it was an unexpectedly hot day. And that comes on the back of not being used to that, because as spring goes along and before you move into summer, this could be people's first long day in the heat. And what happened to Kai, I think actually what happened to me a little bit later was you fuel like it's going to be one of your typical training days, even a warmer day that you're used to. But then after a while, that fueling gets to be too much. And a lot of people got sick, had to DNF for various reasons. Actually, just they're in over their heads or whatever. But Kai and I were definitely able to do the race and well-trained, which I'll get into in a second. But I think what got us was the fueling, the heat. When it's really hot, the fact that when it's really hot, you have to back off the fueling or else you get sick to your stomach. And at Kai's pro race pace, that got to him around mile 90. And on my race, that got to me around mile probably 110, 120. It's hard to say where it was, but I eventually caught up to Kai because he was struggling. And also he had a flat tire and was patching that. And that wasn't all that bad because you can mitigate that and still stay in the race. But when I finally caught up with him, it was because he was so sick that he tried riding with me a little bit. And I told him, I'd known by phone because Emily and Kylie, Emily, my wife, Emily, and Kylie, his girlfriend, were out on the course for support, and they said Kai was struggling really bad up ahead. And I found out I was about 30 minutes away, and I said, just tell him to rest in the shade, and then I'll eventually catch up. And by then, maybe he'll feel better. And it didn't. He tried riding with me for a little bit. On Instagram, you can see some photos, Zen Triathlon on Instagram, of him riding with me. And eventually, I started dropping him, and actually it was pretty quickly. And I started dropping him. He couldn't keep up even at my much slower pace. And I thought, he definitely needs to stop, because with 60 miles to go is no place to be out there in that heat. And on my bike computer, one time it read 108 degrees coming off the pavement. And we're asking for a trip to the hospital if he keeps going in his condition for that much longer. Now, when I got sick a little bit later, I had, like I said, like maybe 40 miles to go. And I just took a break and laid in a ditch actually for 30 minutes and rehydrated, and eventually could keep going. And so I actually finished, but just barely. I thought I was completely out of the race. I really was thinking that I might be out of the race. I just kept reaching into my bag of tricks, and I've done dozens of races where you have to slow way down, and you have to reevaluate and readjust your goals to finish even. And yeah, I was laying there in the ditch going, this is no longer a gravel race. When a gravel race is hard enough and your bike computer gets screwed up and there's no navigation out there, and you have to figure it out yourself, then this becomes an adventure race, and it's just survival and getting to the end. And that actually helped a lot. That's our moment of Zen for the show, is reframing actually is a whole lot about Zen, and it gives you a different perspective on what you're actually out there for and why you're doing it. And then all of a sudden things seem to be a little bit better. It might put a little bit of pep in your step. So I went from thinking that I would improve on last year's time by an hour and a half, which I was on pace to do right pretty easily by the early hours in the race, to when the heat got me sick. I was like, oh, well, now my goal is to finish before the sun goes down, if I can. And that's if I can even finish. There was times where it was seriously questionable. We had a 25% DNF rate, which is really high. And let's see, also, we should talk about the results. And most of the DNFs were just from the heat in general. And mine and Kai's was probably the fueling combined with the heat is what really specifically actually how the heat affected us. Yeah, the men's results, Julian Gagny from Canada won, and Nicky Terpstra from, is he from Denmark? I forgot which country he's from. But anyway, he's a European that won Paris-Roubaix back in 2014, I think. Second, Adam Roberge, Canada. Jasper Okoloen, I don't know how to say that, is from Holland. And Ivar Silk from Holland. Ivar's a big name in professional cycling. Our first Texan here that got placed was 7th, and Carlos Quintero. And then Lawrence Tyndam, who actually won the race a few years back and put this race on the map, is a multiple Tour de France multiple Tour de France finisher, and I think a top 10 finisher. And that is a very big deal to have these two, Lawrence Tyndam and Nicky Terpstra, at your race. And you get to line up with these people. It's absolutely nuts. He got 9th. Alex Howes got 10th. And Ted King, who's behind the Untapped Maple, who's also a former World Tour racer, got 14th. And then Ian Boswell got 19th. And on the women's side, we've got Justine Barrow from Australia in first. And Emily Newsom was either second or third. I've got her listed as third. And then these are names of note. And then Laura King, Ted King's wife, did better than Ted at 5th. So take that. And the race is all these different distances. I think it's 30, is it 50? But definitely 100 and then 150. And for the really long distance stuff, the women, there was maybe like 15 women in that. And so there's a lot of opportunity for women to do really well in the long distance race. If you want to sign up, I highly encourage it. And let's get back to the general overview of the race. This race was on its 4th year, and the reason that I signed up for it is because on its first and second year, on its previous years, it's had heavy rain before or during the race, and it did not stop the race. Looking at the video footage and the pictures, the bikes weren't covered and stuck in peanut butter mud like what happens at Unbound. And based on that, I was like, oh, well, this is a race that's going to happen and not destroy your bike, regardless of what happens with the weather. And thank God. And so this is a race worth investing your time and money in, especially if you're coming from a long distance or you don't have unlimited time or money. So Kai and I signed up last year, and I was correct about that assumption because it rained the night before the race, and then the race course was still fine the next day. It dries out really quickly. The soil is actually limestone based, so water just like runs right through it, almost like sand. And then this year, a few days before the race, we had a lot of storms, record rainfall in places. We had a tornado go through Houston, and this race is west of Waco a little bit. So if you want to come do it, you can fly into Dallas, I think would be the closest big airport. But anyway, they had so much rain in the area that there was actually damage to the roads, and the race still went on. They had to reroute the race course around the Bosque, I think it's, or Bosque, yeah, Bosque probably, river, because it's normally like a small, quiet river with low flow and when it starts getting warm. But it was waist deep and moving, and that's very risky to have people tired people with 130 miles of racing under their feet, and to try to carry their bikes and get swept downstream or they lose their bike into the river and then you get pinned under a bridge or in a culvert, and then people drown like that. So unfortunately they had to reroute the race a little bit, but it brought the course down to 147 miles. Well, the race advertised 150 anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But another thing it did was it kind of roughened up the course in places where there was water crossings. So some more people experienced flats at those, which is probably what happened to Kai. We also talked to Kai about his power meter pedals, and by the way, an interview as well, his girlfriend Kylie, about talking to the USWE rep at the vendor booth, and also what it was like supporting Kai out there. So that's pretty cool. That's coming later in the show as well. And real quick, I wanted to mention that I trained for the race, specifically the hills part that are, if it's hillier than where you typically train, you need to find some sort of way to get in, extrovert, we'll call it. And I did a combination of things. One, by coincidence, Emily wanted me to we started pulling Emily around behind me with a toe strap. And I found out, I got really happy doing that because I'm like, man, the added resistance is perfect for simulating like steeper hills. And the reason we started doing it was so Emily could stay at the same pace as me, and then also we're together and seeing the same stuff, because riding out in the countryside around here is just amazing. And oh yeah, by the way, that's the reason that I re-signed up for this race. Was the race is pretty convenient to us. So it's low impact as far as traveling and such, and cost, relatively speaking, than going to like Kansas or something. And then the pro field is unbelievable. So you get all the starstruckness that you could ever ask for. And then the scenery was absolutely amazing. It's these rolling hills, and it's kind of like the Austin Hill Country, but more green and more kind of mesa-y a little bit. And the roads in general are a mix of, I would say it's like mostly champagne gravel, like 80%, but with a little bit of rough crossings, and then somewhere like 10 to maybe 20% pavement. And it breaks up the gravel, so it's something different every once in a while. And then the creek crossings were really nice. With some rainfall in them, because when you had to carry your bike across them, it actually cooled your feet down, which felt nice. A lot of us, as we were walking across creeks, were like, oh, wow. And even with just kind of moderate gearing, I have a 42 front and 42 chainring front and 42 tooth rear. So that's a 1-to-1. And so no matter what you got, if it's 1-to-1, it would be similar to this. Yeah, I had to walk. There's these 3 hills in a row that are really bad, and I'll walk up them. A guy with double chain ring, people that would go by me typically on double chain rings. And then I think Kai said we were running a 44 on his bike and then a 42 rear, and he said he only had to walk the last hill. So if you're a really good cyclist, then maybe you have to walk the last hill. And then there was one other hill out there on the course that felt like I felt like walking because as I started going up it, that's the hill where I started to get a cramp in my inside of my left leg, which is important to the podcast. We'll get to that again later about what happened to me. And another good feature of the race is the race start venue is a combo horse arena kind of area. So it's got a big covering over part of it, like an expo area. And then it has an RV park next to it. So we have a RV that could handle all four of us there, me and Emily, and then Kai and Kylie. And Kai and I took it last year, and it worked great. And it's literally 300 yards from the start line. So if you have an RV or you want to camp in that area, it's awesome. And what just a fun, great race setup, and just, everything's just so simple and easy to put together and do. And then the town itself is Hico, Texas. And that's a tiny little town, but it's done nicely. If you could renovate a tiny little town, then that's what they've done. The whole downtown tiny little area is nice. It's fun. It's cool. And there's actually plenty of amenities. There's not a lot of, there's almost no hotels, but Temple, Waco, Killeen is like 45 minutes to an hour away. And those are big towns with plenty of amenities. And then there's some state parks kind of in the area. And the little town of Hico does have like a small grocery store and a drugstore, but not much more than that. And it's great. It's a cool little place. And of course, by the way, the whole race is done to raise funds for the volunteer fire department in the area, which is a good cause. So a funny thing that happened on the way to the race with all the rain and towing the RV, about a week before the race, I got an alert on the dashboard of my truck that we're going to tow the RV with that said the four-wheel drive needs servicing. Like, oh man, what a time for this. Because a lot of events, you park in a field, and the RV field is a little bit sloped. And even though the ground drains really fast and the race course is good and all that after heavy rain, still it's not ideal to be pulling something and then for the ground to be wet and it's off-road. And that's exactly what happened. Emily and I left early in the day on Wednesday, or middle of the day on Wednesday, and it took a while to get there because the weather was so crazy. And when we got there, it had stopped raining just barely, and the RV that was parked right next to where we were gonna park, the guy said, he had trouble, and his truck kind of slipped out in four-wheel drive, but he was still able to do it. And it was kind of funny, like, I was never that concerned about it, because if you're at a place where there's going to be four-wheel drive vehicles, there are people that love to use their four-wheel drive vehicles, myself included, and cannot wait for somebody else to get stuck so that they can pull them out. And that's exactly what happened. We were going up the slope to pull the RV into its spot, and even with the rear differential lock, so the rear two wheels spin at the exact same speed, that's an off-road feature. But the front-wheel drive, the reason I didn't get it fixed is I made an appointment, and it was going to be too late. And I'm actually supposed to take it in. I'm taking it to the dealer, and you make an appointment for them to look at it. And the first time I could go is after the race. And I'm like, well, we'll just see what happens. And the front of my truck has tow hooks. So when we started going up the slope and got stuck and then slipped back down and up, back down, I was like, well, it's going to take about 30 seconds if we get stuck for somebody to come along and offer to pull us out. And that's what happened. And within 30 seconds, the guy that you'll hear later in the show, when I'm interviewing the USWE guy, pulled up in his four-wheel drive Toyota Tundra and said, "Hey, need some help?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "I'll be right back. Let me go get some tow straps." And I just kind of laughed to myself. I'm like, "Yep, there we go." And a little while later, he lined up in front of me. We tow strapped my truck, the front of my truck, to the back of his, and just a little gentle pull in his four-wheel drive got me up over the hump enough, and then the two of us together pulled the RV into its spot, and then we just parked it. Like, all right, that's enough. We plugged it in to the power outlet, and then disconnected my truck from the RV and just didn't touch it after that. And it never rained, and then later when we left, many days later, 3-4 days later, the ground was dry and it wasn't a problem anymore. But there was a lot of mud sprayed all over the front end of the RV, peeling out, trying to get it into its spot. But that was all kind of fun. Anyway, Kai and Kylie showed up later, but between us parking the RV and Kai and Kylie showed up, somebody drove by, I think it was the race director, and he said, hey, go on up to the pavilion and get yourself some free dinner. We got some pizza and salad up there. And I go, okay. And I also thought there'd be some beer. And so I walked up to the pavilion and I saw Iowa Gravel Gang, and I made a mental note of that. Maybe I said hi or something. And then I grabbed a piece of pizza, and I could tell that this one table had some physical specimens sitting at it. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll sit over here and things will get interesting. And I sit down, kind of at an open at the end of let's say the south end of the table. And a little while later, somebody sits down in front of me, and I look up and I'm like, dude, is that Alex Howes? And that's exactly what I said. I'm like, are you Alex Howes? And he goes, yeah. And we had a great conversation. He's got a 3-year-old daughter, and he's been dealing with some, I think they call it Graves' disease. It's a thyroid condition lately. And he was like, his house has been on fire or something like that. And just like little disasters and such. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. I'm talking to Alex Howes, and Alex is, if he comes across as cool in interviews and such, he's even cooler in person, man. It is just unbelievable how laid back and chill this guy is. It has like an effect on you when you talk to him. And so we're talking, and then to my left, where the end of the table is, I sense a presence, and a chair gets pulled out and a guy sits down and he starts eating. And then I look up and over, and it's Lawrence Tindam. So now I'm sitting next to Lawrence Tindam across from Alex Howes. I was like, holy crap. And then I thought, do I interview these people, or I just leave them alone? I thought, you know what, don't ruin the magic of the moment. Let's just leave them alone. And we started talking about doing the Continental Divide race and about bears and all that stuff. It was really cool. And I was just a little bit in awe. And to my right was a pro that I did not know from Norway. He's a young guy. And then a little while later, the chair directly to my left, somebody dragged a chair up, I think, and put a chair directly to my left to sit between me and Lawrence Tindam. And I look over and I say, hey, how's it going? And we're talking for a second. And then I'm like, are you Ian Boswell? And he said, yeah. And I was like, holy cow, man, this is awesome. This is so cool. Hey, thanks for coming and doing this race. I follow you. And maybe I think I told Lawrence as well, thanks for coming and doing the race that first time, because he put this race on the map. And he was like, oh yeah, And then the cool thing about Ian was he did that thing that you should do when you're like dating somebody on a first date, is you ask them about them and don't talk about yourself. So he was asking me all about me, and I was like, wow, that's real selfless, and it really, makes you feel like he's really aware of his position in the race, and like as almost a spokesperson for the industry. It was just really cool. He's like symbolic of the sport, the openness of the spirit of gravel, that everybody's in this together, and it's a lot of fun, and it's really casual and laid back. It's like mountain biking, which is super laid back, and but with the length and distance and time of doing like ultra long road racing. And then there's some I don't know if it was whispering, but you could just tell something was going on at the other end of the table. It's a real long table. It's like, oh, I wonder what. And then somebody said, Nicky Terpstra just sat down there. I was like, what? And I pulled out my phone and Googled his name real quick to see what year he won the Paris-Roubaix, because everybody was like, yeah, he won Paris-Roubaix. And they were asking like, what year did he win? And I think it was 2014 is what I came back with. But anyway, I turned to my right to the Norwegian pro and I go, so what's this like? And he's like, this is pretty crazy. And let's see, that conversation kind of evolved into them, the pro end, talking about the pro end of the race. And after a while I was done eating, and it would be awkward for me to pipe up and get in their conversation any more than I was. So I turned around, excused myself from that situation, because I had nothing to contribute anymore, and found a fellow podcaster, video YouTuber, and interviewed Iowa Gravel Gang. So let's go ahead and play that. All right, I am at 2 days out before the race at a pre-race dinner of sorts. And correct. And I am with
Aria.
Aria.
AKA Iowa Gravel Gang.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's it.
Okay, and he's on YouTube,
Yep.
and he is awesome, and he gave me a lot of inspiration to try to video more stuff and turn the podcast more. Podcasts now, they do video first, and then they call it a podcast. It's kind of, it's so frustrating. But I just came over from a table sitting with Lawrence Tim Dam, and then Alex Howe, and then Ian Boswell, and who else was over? The Dutch Mob. Dutch Mob. Yeah, but I left them to come over here to talk to you.
That's right. Thank you. I appreciate you telling me.
That's a good compliment.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It makes me feel pretty good that you're out there doing cool stuff. You're gonna actually film your first race, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow's your first filming, right?
My first filming. It'll be my first video attempt. We'll see if it even goes off at all.
I think it'll be good. Send me a clip.
Well, I've learned with Zen, you just try. It's okay. And then whatever happens, happens.
There's never a good time to start trying, right?
Yeah.
Like when the idea comes out, try it and make it better as you go.
So your channel on YouTube is Iowa Gravel Gang, right?
That's right.
And I saw you like super positive attitude, just out there. Everybody loves to see you when you're you try to be in a good attitude no matter what.
Yeah.
So what races have you done?
Oh man, so I've done Unbound. I did Unbound 2 years ago, 2022. I've done Mid South. Have you done Mid South?
Oh no, but I watched, dude. That thing's crazy.
You're missing out on that. That's. And then I've obviously done.
That's the latest video I saw from you was Mid South.
That was a big production right there. I love this race, Gravel Locos. This is my second time here.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I've done Rebecca's Private Idaho.
Really? That's a beautiful race. Were you there when was it Rebecca's Private Idaho where the cow charged the guy, or was that a different California?
No, that's a different California.
That was
ride.
California ride, not Idaho.
Yeah, I know.
He got too close to the cow. He's obviously not from farm country.
You mess with the bull.
It was a bull.
And you get what
The
you
horns.
get? You get the horn. And he found out, so you don't mess with it. So I've done that. Let's see.
So what made you motivated to start recording on YouTube all this gravel madness and such?
So I wanted to get out there and kind of inspire people.
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing very many black people actually out there doing endurance stuff. Yeah. So I was doing all these gravel races.
I got like 20, and where I live, I got like 20, 30 cyclist friends, and one of them's black.
Yeah.
That's it. It's totally ridiculous.
That's what was happening. So I was going to these events, and I just wanted to show people like, hey, you can come out here. It's a safe space. People are welcoming.
Yeah.
You won't have any problem. So I say just to inspire people, get out there, ride, black, white, red, Puerto Rican, whatever, whatever. Just go out there. The gravel. I have been really fortunate that the gravel cycling community is so welcoming.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't had any issues. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of make a video so that when people are searching for this stuff, that they're like, hey, you know what? I can go do this.
So you did it first. This was kind of like what started out with me. I did it first just for the love of the sport, and then the next thing I knew, I liked it, and then people liked me doing it.
Yes.
And then that kind of propelled me forward and propelled you forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to do more, and then you become kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, at first I just kind of wanted to inspire people, but then people will come up to me on a race like, hey man, I saw your video, this is why I'm here. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so, and I actually enjoy the act of making, films. So
I liked with podcasting early on was figuring out how to make them. And I work in IT, so it was like, how do we do this?
Yep, absolutely. So I kind of like that, and just knowing that it was bringing some kind of value to other people. Even I was enjoying the making, but it was bringing value. So I was like, you know what? Let me keep doing this. And here we are. We're talking about it right now. So absolutely,
that's it.
Yeah.
I've got what's cool about doing audio is you can do like really long, so we can sit here and record.
Yeah.
But video, trying to learn how to do video is like you got to keep it short. You got to keep people's attention span.
Yeah. And
people say sometimes some people say audio is harder in a way because people are more picky with audio.
Yes.
They will hear like somebody clicking their tongue like.
Yes, and that would drive people crazy.
It drive people freaking crazy.
Whereas
and videos, they're more forgiving.
Yeah, because, with video...
But the video's got to be shorter and be done better.
But it's a lot more destructive. There's a lot more going on that you might not be able to pick up.
People are more forgiving.
Yeah, absolutely. So, definitely, it's interesting. Just, you have to constantly evolve when it comes to making videos. But,
That's what I told my wife. I'm like, I need one of these cameras. And she's like, no, you don't. And I said, no, you don't understand. It's evolving.
That's right.
And I need a camera or I'm going to be left behind.
And you got one of the best ones out there.
I did, yeah. I splurged. I got a good one. Well, I figured it's going to help me and my son and like everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for the interview, man.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you for having me, man.
What's your plan for race day? Besides just try to keep up and not die out there with me.
I think my plan is to stick with a fast group that's way faster than me. Not too overly crazy.
Yeah.
At least like 3 miles per hour faster.
Okay, this is getting good. All right.
I want to cover I usually try.
This is a real strategy.
Yeah. This is what I've done. That's what I did at Unbound.
Okay.
It
worked out.
So I want to cover the first like 40 miles without having to do much work.
Right.
And then once, I'm like, all right, so I know, 70 miles at that point is left. I'm like, all right, I got this. Then I can dial back and then I'll
Where did you come up with this idea from? Because I just heard this earlier this week from a professional, this exact same strategy. And it's actually the way to do it. And why?
I did it by accident one time in an event.
It worked out.
I was like, whoa, you know what?
Yeah.
I was the slowest one in the group, so nobody wanted me to be at the front.
And I forgot the name of the podcast. It was one of these podcasts where they put it on YouTube, even though it was all audio. Anyway, so it's so frustrating. I'm like, what is happening? But when I started, I think I was pretty disruptive to people. Yeah. They were like, "What is this guy doing?" So it's okay. So
you were skipping the radio towers and giving direction to the people.
It was a lot like ham radio, as
right.
We were all just putting out shows, and then people would come all over the world.
You didn't have to get FCC licensing.
No license, and we could curse and we could do whatever we wanted.
That's probably the video. Yeah. The radio people were probably not happy with you.
But the strategy that this pro said was this. The nature of gravel is that it's chaotic at the beginning, and there's a lot of crashing and stuff like that. So what you do is you try to stay towards the front at the very beginning for an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours, depending on your fitness, to try to stay ahead of all the people that are crashing and wrecking behind you. And then once that's over... Then you find a group that's about your speed, and then stick with them the rest of the race.
Absolutely, that's literally that's my playbook. That's what I live by. So
Well, and they said in road racing, you want to stay with the peloton, no matter what. Until the very, very end.
Until the wheels come off.
Until the wheels come off, because then you're closer to the finish line when the wheels come off. But gravel, the wheels come off because of they call them selectors, right, for the audience. At Valley of Tears. It was just a few miles in, and we hit a sand pit. And then, like, 7 people out of the top... let's say out of the top 20 at the front, everybody went down except for, like, 5 guys.
Wow. See,
right? And then that just took everybody out. And then it was 5, and then they whittled down to 3, and then to 2, and then to 1. And then that's way different than road racing.
I think that's what makes gravel racing interesting. I think because you can even have the strongest guy not be able to make that front group, and it shakes up the whole dynamic of the race. So that's why I love it.
It was Emily Newsom. I think
she was just here.
I think it was her. I was right behind her, and she hit a traffic barrel, a big giant cone, right at the beginning of the race. And it took her out. I'm talking like 10 seconds into the race.
We were just talking about that. She was telling us about that.
And it smashed up her shifter, so she couldn't shift correctly, or her derailleur or whatever. And then she rode the entire race with 2 gears because her left derailleur would work. So I was ahead of her undeservedly for a while. And then I'm riding, I'm like, 5 miles in, and I hear, on your left. And it was a guy riding with her trying to clear traffic for her to get through this pack. And then this woman went by, like an Olympian, which she might be, and just like roared past. And then she caught up.
Did you jump on? Did you try?
No. Dude, she was another level above. And then she caught up with Sophia. And then rode with Sophia the entire race, and the very last third of the race, last quarter of the race, there's a real hilly, gully kind of area, and it was so steep that she didn't have the gearing to make it out, and then Sophia dropped her. It's another selector,
So this she just told us this. We were just actually talking about.
She was right here?
Yeah,
I
she
didn't
literally sitting right there where you are. And what came out of this, you like this. She's gonna, want to getting a camera so that she can actually
have footage of what happened. It's like a dash cam.
Should have been able to record that freaking barrel.
Yeah, a lot of other people had video footage of it.
That's what he was saying. So
I heard the story, and then eventually somebody posted video footage of what happened. Because the story, she said she ran into a cone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like a cone. No, dude, it was a barrel.
Yeah,
she hit a barrel.
Yeah, she said she looked down.
And somebody in front of her dodged it, and then she hit it.
She said she just looked down on her Wahoo to check something.
Yeah.
And she looks up.
She hit it straight on.
There was nowhere to go, so it's one of those split-second things.
I'm thinking now that I got the camera, I'm going to ride with it on like all my casual rides, my training rides and stuff. Why not?
Yeah.
And then I almost got hit by a car just the other day, and I'm like, well, I would have had footage of it.
Yeah. Do you have
I've got the rear radar, all that stuff.
You gotta have that. Anymore, it's like I don't leave home without my Garmin radar.
No, I go back home if I leave my Varia. I go back. I'm like, I gotta have it.
And Trick has a new radar light.
Yeah, the Carback.
Carback. Yeah.
The best marketing name ever.
I saw that name. I was like, why not come up with that and trademark that?
It's brilliant.
So I think the moral of the story is if you find something bicycle related, trademark the name, and someone's gonna come calling.
Yeah. A friend, I came up with one the other day. I'm gonna go ahead and give one away.
Tell us.
Because I Googled it, and this website does not exist. So Ozempic everybody knows Ozempic is a weight loss drug, but there's all this bro science out there about how to lose weight and lift weights and stuff. So Brozempic.
There you go.
It's all about how to eat to lose weight, but just bro science. It makes no sense.
Let's buy that domain right now.
It's not about. I Googled it. It exists.
I need to go.
It doesn't exist.
I need to go buy that domain right now.
You got about 4 days before this podcast hits the air, so you can go buy it.
I'm gonna go on my.
That's a good name though, Brozempic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, dude.
Thanks, man.
Nice to meet you.
That was awesome, man.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So to do the videoing that he does. We were talking about cameras, and I had just gotten the Insta360 maybe a week before the race start date, which is not, maybe less. I think less. I think just a few days before the race start date, and it really wasn't enough to get familiar with the equipment. And I did get some video footage out there, which I'll share with people later. I managed to mess up about half of it, and we'll see what we can do with it. I think I got video footage of the race start, and the best place for video footage was at aid station 2, which is at mile 55. But I managed to screw that up by hitting the wrong buttons, but it was too easy to hit the wrong buttons because, I was sweaty and wet. And I was wearing it around my neck because when I tested it out and put it on a mount beneath my stem, I was getting too much vibration in it. And it's kind of hard to do all the aid station stuff and make sure that you've got the video footage down. You really need a lot of practice with it first, and I just didn't have enough practice runs with it. But so far, the Insta360 X4 is the latest one, is really, really cool. And I just wanted to go ahead and mention that out there, that we've got this camera now for the podcast and for video, so that you're going to see a whole lot more stuff on Instagram and YouTube. Because now we have that camera. And the other piece of high-tech equipment is power meter pedals. And I thought I had plenty of time for the power meter pedals to show up, because when the reason we were able to afford some of this is we got enough of a tax return. We were able to invest in some stuff for the show. And so the first thing is, let's get power on Kai's bike, because he's the one that's racing Pro Division. And he's got an indoor trainer with power on it. Well, actually, let's order them both at the same time, him and me, because I wanted some too, because I have not trained outdoors with power in quite a while. And I love training with power. It's the best. And I've done it for years, 15 years on my triathlon bike. And I also have power indoors. And turns out the pedals are so good, and relatively speaking, such a good price and such a good product and reviewed so well, that they're back ordered. And the ones we ordered were the Favero Asioma, and they make a mountain bike version now. And yeah, the reviews are just awesome. And I ordered them, and then they said, thanks for your order. We will let you know in 20 days when they are actually in stock and we can ship them to you. And I was like, and then they showed up in time for Kai to get one ride in with them before the race. And I said, that's not enough time. And listen, don't chase power numbers on these things. And his coach told him, even though I'm more than capable of coaching Kai, we find that hiring a coach to coach Kai is even better, because then it's not creating family conflict of his dad, telling him what to do all the time and arguing with him and such. We'll let the coach do it. And and I just kind of keep tabs on what the coach is telling him. And I'll tell Kai, I'm like, because I live with Kai, and I'm like, or I'll explain what the coach is saying in a little bit more detailed if Kai didn't get it. And then also I'll tell Kai, I wouldn't do exactly that. The way I would do it, if I was you, I would tweak this one thing. But the coach said, don't worry about the power numbers. And I was like, yeah, don't worry about the power numbers. You have to train with power for a while to know what your power should be outdoors. And then you would say, I want to average 250 watts, 300 watts for a gravel race. I would actually break it up into thirds probably. I would say with the front, I would stay towards the front and stay under this number. And then after a while so let's say under 350 for a while. And then when you lose that pack and can't stay with them anymore, when your heart rate goes over whatever to try to stay in that power range for this amount of minutes too long, then now set your target to stay at this power for a while. And then that will get you close to the finish line. And then at that point, use whatever you got left. But we don't know what those numbers are, because he hasn't trained outdoors with a power meter number. And training indoors is a lot different than training outdoors. Outdoors, you got so much coasting and turning and stopping and stuff. So it messes up your power numbers. So you need a bunch of long training rides to know what to target outdoors. And funny enough, my pedals showed up the day before the race. I was getting alerts by text message that they were trying to deliver the pedals to my house in College Station, hours away. And I was like, God dang, this is so ridiculous. And because the pedals are expensive enough, you have to sign for them in person. So there's no way I was going to get these pedals for the race, which really sucks, because I actually do know how to train with or race with power, like I just said. But still, I don't have outdoor power numbers. And I just wished that we could have gotten the pedals earlier to do some training rides with them. And then they would have been of use. But Kai did ride with the power meter pedals, and we're going to pop in an interview with him in a little bit about what that was like. And then they definitely survived the race, and they're the MX Pro 2s, I think. And what's cool about them is the power meter functionality is built completely within the internals of the pedal. There is no pod or anything next to them. You don't need any other parts and exposed things. And the power meter parts, again, are completely enclosed. So there's almost no risk of water damage to them. Sealed is the correct phrase. And I just wanted to get that out there as well, that on upcoming episodes, we're going to have a review of these power meter pedals where I'm going to go over them in detail, because I've already done one ride since I got back, and that'll be some great show content for me to explain how to use power outdoors for long events. And yeah, so that was really cool. So the Insta360 camera and the power meter pedals are here, and expect a lot more in upcoming shows about that. So the day before the race started, Kai and I were supposed to go out and do a 1-hour morning ride, and we were going to do the race course, the first hour of the race course, and Emily and Kylie were going to follow us and then pick us up, and then we were going to drive out to mile 55 and check out that aid station area, so Emily and Kylie would know what does the terrain look like, where would you probably park and stuff, and then the mile 100 and something aid station, and then possibly the very last aid station that's at mile 140. And turned out, Kai and I got all ready to go, and we started to ride, or I was a little bit ready before Kai was, which is funny because that never happens. And I took off, and I got to the gate to leave the starting line, and Kai was back at the RV, and I got a phone call from Emily, come back to the RV, something's wrong with Kai's bike. And turned around, came back, and the metal strap that you actually tighten down to hold the right brake lever to the handlebars had snapped. It had actually cracked, and there was nothing holding his shifter brake lever to the handlebar except for bar tape. And we just stood there, we're like, oh crap, what do we do? And guy's first thing was like, give me your shifter. I was like, no way, dude. I'm in this race too. What we're going to try to do is fix your bike. And I think we might have time. Let's get on the phone and start calling bike shops. And we found a bike shop on the phone in Temple after a couple of phone calls I think it was in Temple, that was about 45 minutes away. The guy left and then called back and said, yeah, he actually had the spare part, but he didn't have time to help Kai because the shop was either closed or it was by appointment only. He was already helping other people, something like that. And Kai was on speakerphone with him, and I piped up and I said, tell him you used to work at a bike shop. You can fix it yourself. And Kai goes, I used to work at a bike shop. I can fix it myself if you have space for me to work on it there. And the guy goes, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. And then so Kai and Kylie and Emily, they wanted me to go too. And I was like, no, I'm going to go do my pre-ride. It doesn't take 4 people to go fix one brake lever. Y'all go do that. Because I still needed to figure out my camera situation, because that was crazy. And I'm really concerned about finishing this race, and so I need to get in my pre-ride. And so what I did was half an hour out and half an hour back to the trailer and rested and stuff. And then when Kai got back from that, it was like a miraculous situation. I couldn't believe it. He left on his ride around noon or 1, which is too late. And I think the heat affected his race a little bit. You shouldn't be doing something like that the day before the race. But we talked about it later and we were like, man, it was just an hour and he didn't go very hard. And he was supposed to ride an hour that day prescribed by his coach anyway. And it wasn't in the late afternoon. It was still around noon. And knowing the race course, where all the turns were and everything, just for the first half hour for me was so helpful. And then for Kai, he said, yeah, I think the benefit outweighed the cost. And so whatever. So Emily and Kylie and I are following Kai. Well, Kai takes off and then we follow him. We didn't leave at the same time then. Let me put it that way. We let him get ahead because we're in a car, But he goes off ahead and then we start to catch up, and then it was difficult to catch him, and we did not catch him until he was done with his hour, and he had to wait for us for a few minutes because of how the road was messed up in places. We had to charge across a rubble pile that was left as a road. It had cones around it, and there was a literal whirlpool on the right-hand side that if we fell in, the car wouldn't have gone down the whirlpool, but the wheel would have. And any kind of creek crossing, it was road, but I would walk it to make sure that there was still road there. Like the place where the whirlpool was where there used to be road, but there wasn't anymore. And if you went straight into where you thought you should go, your vehicle's toast. We'd be having to go around the vehicle the next day during the race. And by the time we got done doing that, the race plan had changed, or the pre-ride plan had changed. And we were like, let's just drive out we started driving to the 55 miler, and it was going to take so long to go out there that we weren't going to have time to do that and get back. So we went to the 100-mile area, and we talked about where Emily and Kylie should be. Kai was going to do a Camelback handoff and whatever, all that stuff, and bottles and stuff. And the race is really his race, and I'm there to enjoy it and podcast about it. But I can support myself. I've done enough of this stuff where I can totally take care of myself, and that takes more time, right? But Kai and Kylie needed to follow Kai, because by the time, if they waited until I got to one aid station, then they wouldn't have enough time to get to the next aid station to meet Kai. And so Kai's more important. His result is more important than mine. So the decision was, well, we were just practicing, like what to do with Kai. And Emily and Kylie were like, so you're going to be okay? And I'm like, yeah, it'll just take me a little bit longer. And it did. If I don't forget to mention it later, it took me 10 minutes to go through an aid station. I looked at the results, the lag time on Strava, 10 minutes per aid station. I thought it was faster than that, but that's what the numbers say. It was 10 minutes of stop time. And I think Kai's, a typical aid station for him would be 5 minutes. And the race had mandatory aid station stops at mile 55 and 100 for the pros to be like an old school gravel race and give everybody an opportunity, the spirit of gravel, for people to kind of stay together and not be too roady, more like off-road. And we slept good, got up, I had my typical granola cereal. Kai had pancakes. And next thing we know, we're off at the starting line. And then we have video footage from Emily of the start of the race. And it took 4 minutes for everybody to go through the start of the race arches. That's how many people were there. But they let everybody go at once, right? So it's the real competitive race and the pros for that lined up for the 150 up front. And then Kai was in there with them. And then Kai said he was like 3 rows back, he felt, if there were rows. And then I was mid-pack back. And the pros took off first. Well, we all took off at the same time, but the pros are the only ones that can move. So there's video footage from Justin McQuarrie of the first 45 minutes of the race before, I think he had a mechanical or something. I'm not sure what happened. And the pros, the lead pack of the pros, took a wrong turn a few minutes in and had to double back. And then the second pack of the pros, which Kai was in, caught him and passed him. So then when Justin McQuarrie was in the first pack of pros, came back, caught Kai and Emily Newsom riding side by side, and some other cool footage of that. So that's on Justin McQuarrie's. The first 45 minutes, I guess, is on Justin McQuarrie's. And then I was doing what I've learned from Ironman, which is the slingshot effect, where there's this thing where a lot of age grouper times are surprisingly fast compared to the pro times in Ironman triathlon. And it's because as an age grouper in triathlon, you can get right on the butt of somebody before you have to go around them and pass them. And that's called the slingshot effect. So if you don't stress, you can come out of the water on the swim mid-pack, like who cares where you're at really, because you have all these people in front of you. Now you got all these people, you're not technically drafting, you're using them to draft off as you pass them. You don't sit in their draft zone, but as you pass them, you come up right behind them and then stay really close and then go around them. And it's effectively like being in a pack and getting all the draft effect of being, up front, but without riding all panicky up front. And gravel is really interesting, where the front pack is so combative, I guess. I don't know. It's like riding a front pack peloton of pros is, it's hard to see what's coming up. And with a dirt road, what's coming up could be a problem. And so it's hazardous to ride in that very front pack. And Alex Howes said that he lost his glasses, I guess, but he's got really bad vision. He rode 90% of the race. So after the first 10%, I guess, he lost his glasses without being able to see. So a thing you do in gravel racing, the pros are figuring out, to ride up front, you ride bigger tires, and then that prevents you from flatting as bad. And Kai was riding 42s. Alex Howes was riding a 48 or 50 front tire, and Alex Howes did not flat. Kai did. I don't remember what mile he flatted at, but starting back in the mid pack and then working your way up to the front, you get almost all the benefit of the arrow of the draft of being in the front pack and just following people and working your way up. But then also it's less crowded, so you can see where you're going a little bit better and avoid that sharp rock or that stick that's going to get caught in your spokes and break something. So that was my strategy, and it ended up working out pretty good. I only got surprised a few times with impacts. One of them we'll get to knock my bike computer off the handlebars. But anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and get started on the specifics of the race. That was a general overview, and now we've gotten into the race itself. But let's back up and go to the hydration and fueling. So Kai was going to do gels. I haven't really talked to him about his nutrition for the race. He's been off at college, and I haven't been involved with his nutrition as much for the longer stuff. And that's both good and bad, He's got to figure out his own thing. But also, I'm not able to tell you actually what he did. So it was something to do with a lot of gels. And what I'm here to tell you now is I basically have figured out how to make my own gels by doing table sugar with a little bit of Gatorade for flavor and color. Because table sugar it's blah, it doesn't really, it's sweet, sure, but it's got no flavor, And so a little bit of Gatorade. So I would say 4-to-1 table sugar to a little bit of Gatorade powder for color and flavor. And then I put it in clear bottles so that I can, now it's got color to it, I can see how much I've drank and then plan, I should have drank, or I need to drink, or I need to stop drinking X amount. So I had on my frame for the start of the race, to make it to 3.5 hours in, probably mile 55, where the first aid station is, my fuel split up into 2 clear water bottles. And then I just knew that I need to finish one bottle by an hour and a half, and finished the second bottle by the next hour and a half. And boom. And I was doing about 350 calories per hour, which is where we get to that thing where that worked until it hit 90 something degrees out there. And then that's too much. And what happens is you've lost hydration and stuff in your body, and it's at your muscles and in your sweat to cool you down in the heat. And now it's not in your stomach as much to digest the fuel to move that along, and then it backs up and makes you feel sick. So what you have to do is slow down a little bit, and that'll preserve a little bit of hydration, blood plasma, and liquid to your guts, so you can digest fuel a little bit better. And it also cools you down to not go as hard. And also on top of that, you eat just a little bit less. So if you were doing like 350 calories an hour, you probably do like more like 250 or 300. And that's just what you have to do when it's really, really hot to not get sick. But anyway, in my Camelback, because I was using a Camelback, I've got like 3 or 4 Camelbacks laying around after all these years. And, Kai was wearing a U-Sweet pack. Anyway, my Camelback is 2 liters. And in that, I had electrolyte water. And then also I wasn't going to do it. And I just thought, it might as well, I was going to ride with between the forearms, Aero bottle, a regular round bottle. But at first I was going to ride with no fluid in it. And I thought, I might as well. The first part of the race is downhill, and it's going to be a warm day, so I might as well. I decided, and oh my God, thank God I did, because I ran out of all that. So we're talking basically 3 water bottles and a 2-liter Camelback. I ran out of that at about 4 hours in when I hit mile 55. I was, because there was some hiking. It might have been almost 4 hours. I think it was somewhere between 3.5 and 4 hours in. And I was moving, man. I was like at a good pace with a lot of people. And so that was a pretty typical time. And then what I had was in my frame bag, I had pre-made my fuel for the next 3.5 hours. And then again for the last 3.5 hours that I planned I was going to be out there, into, the flasks, the soft flasks that are kind of big, they're probably 16 to 18 ounces. And they're what we runners wear trail running. What I found is those work really well in frame bags because, they're shape forming, contour, whatever shaping. So you can stuff them in there, and if they don't fit perfectly, they'll still fit because they kind of, they're soft. So what I did is they were about 2/3 full with the fuel that it took to do 350 calories an hour. And then also some water mixed with it so that it was like gel consistency. So it was ready to be diluted with water, a whole lot better than if it was just straight dry, right? So I just added some water to it. And then on the right-hand side of my frame bag, I had gummy bears or gummy worms, sour gummy worms, which I ended up using and were nice for some variety and like chew on something instead of drinking all the time. And then also I had 2 flasks, the little gel flask you can get if you order like hammer gel or some other stuff. And it's probably like 6 ounces each, if that, of fluid. But I had loaded into them 6 servings each of electrolyte and then added some water. So the electrolyte was already pre-diluted, and all I had to do was top them off when I got to an aid station. So I'm not carrying extra water for no reason. And then as I rolled into the first aid station, well, you skip the first aid station if you're doing the long one because it's full of people that are in the way of, to be rude about it, they're in the way, refilling their bottles and stuff like that. So a strategy is to just skip the first aid station. If you're used to doing long stuff, you don't need the first aid station, just go. So the second aid station, which is mile 55, I roll in and I've got everything empty. So I added to one of my big gel flask things, gel soft bottle things, I topped it off with water and then shook it a whole bunch, and that diluted it to consistency where I was able to squeeze it all into a water bottle. And then I added electrolyte to it, so it was enough electrolyte for 2 water bottles, and shook it up a bunch, topped it off, shook it up a bunch, and then split it into 2 water bottles evenly, right? And then I'm just going to do again what I did from the start line. And then I refilled the water bottle between the forearms, and we're going to get into aero bars in a minute. And whether you should use them or not, you should use them. And then I wrote off, right? If you know what I'm about to say, because you notice there's something missing, I noticed too, after I rode off, and I was about half a mile down the course, and I was away from everybody, so I could take a whiz into the trees. And I was peeing, and I thought, oh, crap, I forgot to fill my camel bag. And I think that's an effect. You know, you forget things. We're going to start driving here. I'm on my lunch break at work. We're going to go back to the parking lot. You forget things when you're trying to do too much, you know, or you're under stress. That's how you can tell you're being stressed too much with training and work and life, school, whatever you're doing. And I'm going to pull in this driveway here and do a 180. And with me, it was trying to do the camera and the power meter pedals and stuff. And even though on purpose, I tried to scale back a little bit, you still forget things. Like if you don't remember where you put your keys, you know, this is in daily life stuff. You're getting too stressed out. And thank God I was only about half a mile away and only gone a little bit downhill, because turned around, rode back, filled up my Camelback. And then when I tried to close it, I thought it was closed, but it didn't feel exactly right. And then when I tried to stuff it back into the Camelback bag, it burst open and lost like half the water. So I had to walk back to the coolers again and fill it up again. And that made for a 10-minute change or aid station stop. So then what happened with Kai was he was probably about half an hour ahead of me at that point, maybe more. And by the time he pulled up to that aid station, Emily and Kylie were there. They had left by the time I got there. And Kai just rolled up and needed help with his front tire. And there was this funny thing where we decided, after loading up stuff for the aid station to help out Kai, eventually at one point we're just like, just take Kylie's whole bike. and then, yeah, you know, if you got like tires and wheels is one thing, but let's say you need a saddle or something, you know, then you got a saddle, you got an entire bike, who knows what you're going to need, right? And so Kai went rolling through there, kept his cool, and he said at that point he felt fine-ish, and it was just a little frustrating, you know, having a flat tire. But then he put Kylie's tire on, and then a little bit longer of a stop than normal. And same thing happened with Emily Newsom, where she had an elongated stop because she had a mechanical, and I think you can tell in some video footage of her where she was pedaling. I think her right shifter was messed up. And that's something we're going to talk with her about on a future podcast, is about, you know, bad luck and how do you handle it. One thing is just to be really awesome so you can make up. Don't overtrain, but be better than you need to be. And then that way you can make up for when things go bad. And then Kai got his stuff all set up and then took off. And then I'm riding along. Oh, let's talk about the aero bars. Let's do that. By the time I left that aid station, things had broken up a little bit. And, you know, you get a little bit of pavement kind of here and there. And just, we were riding into a headwind. And I just felt like so happy that I was on aero bars. And it just baffles me that so many people refuse to do it. The pro field is one thing. But as somebody that's going to be out there for a long time, passing people into a headwind easily in aero bars while they're sitting upright, because again, now the field's spread out, so you're riding by yourself. You're not able to draft as much off of other people. So aero bars are awesome for that. And then, you know, as the race goes on, more and more people shaking out their hands hurt and cramping and stuff. And it's just like, man, aero bars are so great on gravel. They're also called comfort bars for a reason. And, you know, those of us that come from a triathlon background are like so into it and know. And it's just, man, you know, you want to sit people down and just go, dude, I don't want to add that to my bike. And, well, they just don't want to look like a triathlete or something. And it's like, it is so much faster, like way faster. It's going to add extra weight. That doesn't matter most of the time. And, yeah, so there's that. And I really enjoyed having the aero bars. And then also a suspension stem was a difference between my bike and I think maybe a third of people have some sort of front suspension stem. Maybe not that many, maybe 20%. So what you do is you ride as plump of a front tire that you can possibly stand. That'll fit your frame. That adds suspension to the front. And then also you get a suspension stem, and what that does, Redshift is the one that a lot of people use, is it takes the edge off of hits. It's one thing for gravel to be rough. Taking the edge off of hits is for the stuff that's a surprise. And when you're out on a ride and you're off-road and there's been any kind of weather, so it's been any amount of days since the last time you were out there, the road's different. And it's that surprise pothole, that surprise rock, that surprise stick, that jars you, and one can flatten your tire, and a suspension stem takes the load off that impact a little bit. I think a suspension stem or a suspension fork actually prevents flats and on the front tire. And then the shock and your wrists and your hands of that is alleviated. So you're way more comfortable riding long distances with a suspension stem. They're cheap-ish, and they're no maintenance, and they're pretty lightweight relative to anything else. So those are pretty great. And then on my aero bars, I've got cushy elbow pads, and they're called CGs, and they're like a centimeter plus thick of neoprene padding, like those old flip-flops that are super thick and cushy. And boy, when you ride on that with a suspension stem, it is like, I had a 40, my front fork will fit up to a 50 with no clearance, so I ride a 47 Pathfinder Pro, and that with kind of low to medium pressure, fat front tire, like a 47, like I'm running. Oh my gosh, man. I went from a previous bike where I had none of that, and it just hurt. And then it transformed gravel riding for me to do that. All right, I got to run in, and we'll be right back, and we'll cover the rest of the race and the rest of the interviews. In fact, let's go ahead, while I go in and work the rest of the day, how about y'all listen to Kai and Kylie talk about the aid station, the USWE pack that Kylie got. She got a hot pink one. And then also Kai with a short, first impression, I guess is what we'll say, of the power meter pedal. So let's go. I'll be right back. All right, I'm here with Kai and Kylie, the pro racer and the future pro racer, possibly. Definitely the easiest to land sponsorships, apparently, on the left side. Yeah. People just throw sponsorship opportunities at her left and right. Yeah, and also we have 3 dogs. Present. And
3 dogs.
There's one people. Like a giant, what do we call him, a bull terrier?
A lap dog?
Lap dog? That's sweet. And okay, so let's start with Kylie. Okay. What was it like? You've done support for Valley of Tears for Kai, so this is not your first big gravel race with famous people.
Definitely not. Yeah. I try and act cool, Yeah. Just like, oh, whatever. It's, a famous person right next to me. It's fine. Because
I came back to the RV and was telling Emily all about how I had dinner with Alex Howes and whatever, and she was like, yeah, I told you, like, we hung out with Alex Howes and his daughter.
Yeah.
She's like 3, and then the whole family, besties. And Keegan Swenson.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all like besties and everything.
Mom ate dinner with Sophia at Valley of Tears on the ground.
Well, she, Sophia was alone because Keegan was still talking to everybody. So Sophia just kind of sat on the ground in the grass while she ate a sandwich. And, your mom just kind of joined her, as she does. Very friendly. So she was like, oh, I'll bring her company, of course. Yeah. So that was cool.
And this isn't your first time at a major aid station going through. Yeah. But it was kind of different, right? It was this aid station situation is more like what happens at Unbound, where they have pro teams kind of set up, ready to help people out. Help out their team, and then some other people if possible. Like with Bike Wash Station. Well, did they have Bike Wash Station set up?
There was a couple people that actually had the pump like you did. Uh-huh. It was coming out of a gallon jug of water, but there was a few people that had that. And then something else that me and Em thought was different, I guess, but cool and necessary as we learned. But it was people laid out on a towel, a bunch of different tools and other stuff that the rider may need.
Oh, all laid out.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Them, on a towel. Yeah. So it was just all right there, right next to the aid station, if they needed it, of course, which, probably would have been nice for Kai.
So it was before the race, and we were at the vendor expo thing, and USWE just pulled you in a tractor beam to what?
To the packs. Yeah. But definitely because of the color, it shocked my eye, of course, because my favorite color is pink. So, I have a colorful bike. I have to have a colorful, USWE pack. So I definitely felt the need to have one of those so I could be as cool as Kai, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
I am pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so prior to this race, of course, Kai here was telling me how he needed another USWE pack. And I was like, well, pause. I get the next one because, you already have one. So Kai here was telling me, oh, well, they only come in 2 colors, white and black. I was
That's
like,
all they had?
I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, like, then can we like find like a different like Camelback brand? He's like, no, we have to do USP. This is it. This is how you go, and like it's either like white or black. It's but you can't do the black because then that's just no. We already have a white one. They have to match. Blah 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 blah. Right. So then we get to the.
You don't want to do, my opinion, in Texas, any place you race where it's hot, you don't want to do black bladder bags.
Yeah.
Because they heat up.
Yeah.
We used to use that to heat up water on the sailboat growing up. We had a black bag so that we would have hot water. Yeah, I'm serious. That's like that's how much it heats up the water. Yeah.
But so then we get to the tent and he has all these different colors. And I'm just looking at Kai like, wow,
lime green,
white or black are my options here.
Did they have orange? Probably. They probably like.
Yeah. So there was like orange, red, lime green, pink. Yeah. But he just happened to
I could pull
have
you up
them.
their website right now and they wouldn't have them.
Oh well, because the guy has all of them.
Yeah. He took them all.
So the guy, what was his name? Steve Carter.
Steven. I think.
I thought it was Steve Carter.
Steve Carter.
Yeah, was awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
So Yusui, you've done a really good job hiring this guy. This guy is awesome. And when we ran into him in the restaurant later, he was literally wearing a blue shirt and yellow shorts, which is the color of Sweden, which is where these things are from.
Yeah.
And a while back when I took you on your first gravel ride, well, on your first, no, it's not your first gravel ride. You've been, well, whatever. But Amrita saw the jersey that you were wearing and was like trying to reach out to you.
Yeah, it seems to be, sponsors just kind of come to me, I don't really have to reach out much. They just come to me.
Kai just squinted his eyes at her.
What is that stank face for?
Very jealous,
Okay,
very easily.
So then Kai came rolling into the aid station at mile 55, right?
Yes.
And had problems. So there's video footage of when y'all told him that you had sealant or something like that. And then his arms just sagged by his side because he'd been looking for sealant. And didn't think we had any.
If there's a way for us to make it a meme, I think that needs to be necessary.
When you find out you had something all along or something after you did a whole bunch of work, Kai's body just went limp. Because you did all that work, right, Kai, changing that tire? And then you knew to put sealant in it?
Well, no.
Or knew we had sealant?
I didn't think we had any, and I was going to have to switch over the sealant that was in her tire already.
Yeah.
And be super, super careful switching it over, which would not have gone well. It probably wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
And then Mom said, well, do you need sealant? And I was like, yeah. If you see the video, you'll see.
We had this whole bottle of sealant the whole time, like over here.
It's like I have this pair of extra gloves from Dumb and Dumber.
But at the same time, there's another rider riding by, right? And he's like, hey, you guys have any sealant?
Yeah, I saw the video. Anybody have any
sealant?
sealant? And she's like, no.
She's like,
no. We need it.
I'm about to use it.
So then trying to track Kai, right?
Yeah.
And the vendor thing was really cool. And then the next day was the race start. So you got to see Kai take off at the frontish. Kind of. How many rows back were you, Kai? Or were you at the very front, or like?
I wouldn't say there were really any rows. It was.
Yeah.
But
if there were rows,
people back.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
For how many people were there, yes, that was very good.
Yeah.
And Emily took video of the start, and she said it was 4 minutes long of a rollout. But that's all the racers combined. That's 150, 100, and maybe 30 or 50, whatever mileage.
Yeah, but just because Kai always tells us to video until there's like no riders anymore, or you cannot see him anymore at all.
See me. That's all I want.
So,
but then there's me, since I happen to be in the same pack. So she just kept going.
Around about 3 minutes after the start.
It was great. I was just sitting there, just standing, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to do that thing. I didn't start my bike computer until I started across the finish line because I'm like, this is not me riding right now. Yeah. I'm just like riding. So what's nice is in the results they showed like course time versus like if you like started.
Yeah.
So then Kai took off. You still felt fine, Kai, at the aid station.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But you're frustrated. Oh, you acted pretty cool about it. The bike situation, the tire.
Yeah,
he stole a tire off your bike.
Yeah, I think I was more stressed than Kai was. He acted kind of cool about it, I guess. But I think he was. I don't know if he was trying to keep his cool or if he was trying to like hurry without being like stressed. Just because like me and Emily wanted to help him like as much as possible, but like we also had no idea what was going on because like all he's told me was that he needed my tire. So I was like, oh, okay, like I'll just take my whole front wheel off and just give it to you. Like,
and then the axle didn't fit.
Yeah, and then the axle didn't fit, and I was like, well, what do you mean it doesn't fit? Like, just push it in there. And yeah, that's not how that works either. So I learned that. And so I think the whole process was just like cool to kind of watch him. Like, I didn't realize you had to basically like break it off the rim, I guess.
Oh, off the bead.
Off the bead. So I thought that was kind of cool to watch him, because I thought he was just popping the tire the whole time. So I was like, well, this isn't going to help. But, I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to let him, be, of course. And then Emily was just kind of running around all over the place asking for these random parts that she probably had no idea what they actually were. But CO2.
She kind of knows. She knows from exposure to us.
Yeah.
But then so she knows all the terminology, she knows all the things, but if you asked her like what this is, about half the things she wouldn't be able to identify.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. Yeah, I could see her like totally like running around. Well, no, she is helping. Like
she was
she's
trying to help as much as possible, of course.
But like a mostly informed, helpful person.
Yeah. But it was great. I was kind of stressed because I had no idea what was going on. And then, the whole time, like, Kai never stopped. So for Kai to be riding over to me and I saw he was already unclipped, I was kind of panicking because I was like, okay, there's got to be something wrong. Yeah. And so that was kind of stressful, I guess, just for me, because I was kind of ready to stand there. I had my phone propped up. I had the Camelback. I was just ready to, hand it to him, as awesome as I do, of course.
Yeah, because I was like, who was filming this? Because it was dead steady,
Yeah,
and you said that you'd propped up the video camera
I set it
against
up
a water
on the
jug?
bike rack. I put the water jug on the bike rack, and then I just kind of propped it up there.
So you were ready.
Oh, yeah, I was ready. Yeah, for sure. Well, and because I just like to be able to show off that I can do a Camelback handoff, because clearly
you can.
Not everyone can, even the pros. So it's pretty hard task.
We've covered that
and
subject.
Then, after Kai had fixed his bike and everything, of course, we did a retry of the Camelback handoff. So that was fun, Kai. I enjoyed that.
Oh, y'all did that even though Kai had stopped to fix a flat.
Yeah.
So y'all did this thing.
Yeah.
Where this is really cool. This is a good pro tip. You had a bar, right? Like in the bike rack or something like that, and you had the Camelback hanging from the bar with one loop hanging off of it, something.
I think that may have been on accident, honestly, but it worked.
Yeah. Where you don't have a human holding the Camelback out for somebody to run their arms through, because that'll lead to error, because somebody kind of moves their. It's like somebody going by and like grabbing a bottle,
I get it.
stationary.
I had it hanging there, and then you came over to me and you were like, hey, like, let's try this again. And then I took it off and I gave it to you. But like, I wasn't holding the Camelback. It was waiting for me on the bike rack. So it was already like hanging there, like ready.
And you came by and just stuck your arm in it and went by. Was that you?
No. I grabbed it with my hand. It probably looked like that in the video, but I grabbed it with my hand just because the bike rack was too low for him to kind of do that. So I grabbed it off the bike rack, but it was already hanging there, like ready for me to kind of hand to him. Yeah. But
so he had a Camelback or a USWE swap, or not? Did you refill it or did you swap it?
We swapped it
would
for.
have been ready to go. If the aid station feed zone would have gone correctly. Mm-hmm. If I didn't have any problems, then I would have just dropped my USWE pack and picked up the Camelback. Red Camelback.
Yeah, and then
because we have over all these years, we have several Camelbacks just laying around.
But
they're not USWE.
Yeah, no, so they don't really count as Camelbacks. But anyways, and then it was nice because me and Emily were cheering Kai on, like, to go catch everybody, of course, or go. Like, continue his ride or his race or whatever, and then we look back and me and Emily are just like, well, what do we do? Because my bike was
that's on the video I saw too.
Yeah, my bike was in so many pieces, and so we kind of just stood there and like.
Your bike's upside down, missing a wheel.
Yeah, it was upside down, missing the wheel. The tire was off so I just had like my rim, and I didn't know like if it would scratch. I didn't want to scratch the bike, but then I also didn't think I could put it back on because there wasn't a tire.
Oh, who put the wheel back on?
We didn't. We just threw it all in the back of the Kai's car with a blanket. Yeah, we layered it.
With a blanket.
Yeah, of course.
Because you have a Cervelo Aspero with the fancy color-changing paint job.
Yeah. Sunset. That's the name.
But I heard that somebody else was at the race with your same bike. And that's not allowed?
I saw 2 other people at the race with my bike, and I was very hurt.
That's like going to prom and somebody else is wearing your dress.
Basically. That's exactly how I felt, actually.
Then nobody else should make your bike.
No.
I mean, like, or they should make multiples of your bike.
Yeah, no,
I know,
Just-
it's like they make thousands.
It's not like they make a 10,000 of that exact same bike.
Yeah, no, that's not allowed. Well, also it's a 2021, so people should be riding other bikes now. You know, like I'm like old school. Like that bike's like so old,
Yeah.
you know. So it's like
Yeah,
what
Gary,
do
my friend Gary has one, and it's black.
Yeah,
Which is appropriate.
Well, yeah,
Because
that's
it's not the
appropriate,
same color
'cause
you
it's-
have.
Yeah, obviously.
We live in the same town. It needs to be different.
Yeah, it needs. I mean, that just makes sense. So I was a little hurt to see that. Didn't want to go push them off their bike, but you know, that wouldn't have been respectful. So I decided to keep my cool, of course.
I wanted to ask Kai about the power meter pedals because we got those just before the race. Not enough time to you rode with them once. Well, maybe twice, I guess, through your pre-ride, right? And looked at the numbers some, and then I was saying, like, don't script your race by trying to chase numbers. That's what people do. They know that their FTP is this, and then they try to do a number that's appropriate for that FTP, and then end up going too hard, like in the heat or something like that. And your coach said the same thing. He said, don't even bother looking at the numbers. That's something, it takes you've ridden indoors with power a lot. So you got an FTP and you got like numbers, but you haven't really ridden outdoors with power numbers. So, but I'm more curious about like, these are the brand new ones from Favero, the mountain bike pedals, where inside the spindle is the actual power meter. Yeah. Power meters, there's one on each side. Did you notice any issues with them whatsoever? They just pedal. They seem to me to be quite a bit heavier than regular pedals, or maybe not. Hold on, I just had some in my hands. Let me hold these. Yeah, I think they're about twice the weight. It feels like to me. But let me get around this dog. Did you, Ripple? What do you think? Ripple went to the race.
What did you think?
He froze, dude. He's not good on tape. No, he's not a good interviewer.
He's nervous.
Ripple. Dude, he totally froze. That's funny. He's looking at Kylie like, what do I do? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do with my hands when I'm being interviewed. Yeah. Did you forget about them, that they were even power meter pedals at times?
Oh yeah, they don't feel any different. The only difference that I felt was, I mean, they're new.
So they clicked in differently.
They're a lot harder to click in.
Yeah, because they're
A lot
newish.
harder. Yeah.
There's an adjustability thing on the side I saw.
But just from out of the box, yes, they're way harder to clip in.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it could just
maybe
be,
your old ones are set loose or something.
Yeah, I don't
So,
know.
you know.
It could be that. But no, I barely even noticed. Noah, my coach, said that I might notice a difference with, like, they might be a little taller.
Yeah, there's a little bit, like a millimeter or two stack height
And
difference.
They probably are.
Yeah.
But I hadn't ridden my gravel bike, I mean, too much before then, so I guess I didn't really notice a difference. But no, from regular Shimano SPDs to those, no difference.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess if there's like a stack height difference, you might need to raise your saddle by that amount.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. But seriously, it's like millimeters.
Yeah, barely anything. But no, I had no issues right out of the box. They worked perfect. They were fully charged. I plugged them in just to see, and the battery was at 100%, and super easy to pair them to my Garmin 840.
I just did mine too, and it was insanely easy. Yeah. I've never had electronics work that easily.
Yeah, it's crazy. Super simple. But yeah, no problems with them. They went through a little bit of water during the race and still have no problems with them. Washed them, no problems.
Yeah, I think they're totally sealed.
Yeah.
The electronics are totally sealed, and the bearings and everything for the pedal part are actually separate from the electronics somehow, and that helps them be water resistant.
Yeah. Yeah, but I really like them. So far, no issues. I really like them. Yeah.
And then, so now you have power on your outdoor rides. The first thing you said was, "Oh, I can finally do intervals outside."
Yeah, I was so
Prescribed intervals.
Yeah, prescribed intervals.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, during the race, I never really looked at it until I started feeling bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, my numbers are dropping. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's validation of how you feel. Yeah. To make sure.
But yeah, I didn't really look at the numbers. I didn't try to at all. For sure, before the aid station, the mile 50 aid station, I didn't look at them at all.
Yeah. And what you can do in Strava or in Training Peaks is you can select areas, and where you were feeling good, I showed you like how you select the area, and then you can get your averages and stuff like that, and you can see like your max power right? And it wasn't crazy.
It was only like 700 something.
Yeah, which is so impressive that actually you were that efficient of a rider, I guess. You were towards the front, and just nice, even, cool numbers. Yeah. So
stay in that draft. That's my tip. That's all you got to do. Stay in that draft.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw. Did you see the video that I sent you last night? The link to it, where Justin McQuarrie. You haven't seen it yet? You're on Justin McQuarrie's video at minute 17 and 34 seconds.
Really?
Yeah, because Justin McQuarrie is with the group that went the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
And they were only off track for like maybe a minute.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and come back, and it takes a little bit, but then they catch up to you. At 17 minutes, there's you.
It gets real.
Yeah, and I sent it to your grandmother as well so she could see this.
Yeah. When that happened, because it wasn't, there were like maybe a few pros in the group after they had turned, and then once they started coming up, it got like really quiet.
Yeah.
Like scary. Like
because here comes the death march of the badasses.
Yeah. I mean, Ted King coming up next to you, and
dude,
Lawrence Tandown,
the top whatever finishers, 20 finishers is like 90% Europeans.
Yeah. Ivar Slick was probably somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I never saw Alex House ever, but he was
did
there.
you see? He told me. He commented. I asked him what tire, because he made a post about tire widths. Right. He rode a 50 front and a 47 rear. Vittoria Torenzos. Mm-hmm. But he said that he lost his glasses or whatever he wears for vision. I think he said glasses. I don't think he
always wears glasses.
Okay, so then and he has really bad vision, and he said like 90% of the race or something like that with no contacts, no glasses.
That's insane.
And that's a credit to like the tires that he was saying that he likes, and the fact that he didn't pop anything by hitting something. Because I wanted to say, man, that sucks, because like you missed out on a lot of the views, but whatever. So
yeah.
Anyway, okay, cool, dude. What's your next race?
I don't know yet.
My next race.
Oh.
I get the next race. I call dibs in this house. I will be the next person racing. BT dubs.
Oh, y'all are going for a ride tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah?
We were supposed to go for a ride this morning, but Kai Bear here had the little sniffles, so someone didn't feel up for the ride.
Yeah, I don't feel good.
Yeah, I did not feel good either. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm still recovering. All right, cool. All right, looks like you got your hands full with these dogs. And you're going to get your bikes ready tonight to ride tomorrow?
Yeah, Kai's going to get the bikes ready.
Yep.
All right, we are back. I am walking from the car dealership 20 minutes to Chick-fil-A to get some early lunch. It's going to get hot. But being an idiot triathlete, I'm not limited to just biking or driving places. I've joked I would swim places if I could. Hey, there's an RV in somebody's yard. So we're going to continue on with our recording while I'm doing this. And let's see. And you'll get all the joys of the sound, the surround sound. They call it soundscape. Let me check my map, which reminds me, we're going to talk about my map failure, my bike computer falling off the handlebars here in a second. Let's see. The map says, I go, where? Where's the map? There it is. Can I take a right here? Should I take a right here? That's another question. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, I have my list of tips and tricks for the race. So the first one was, we already talked about, definitely pre-ride if you can. It helps with not getting flats or crashing on the first part of the race where it's all compacted. I made a whole bunch of notes already from the race for next year. I keep them in a notes thing. And so one of the things I put down was, like where to eat, what kind of things happened, what I would do differently, what I would do the same. Of course I said I not eat as much as the day went on, start scaling back as it got hot. And what reminded me of that is I got this note here that says it was 108 degrees once on my bike computer. I just saw a comment that somebody said that they laid in one of the creek channels to cool down, and it actually saved their race. So there's definitely that. It's more about it turning into a adventure race. Then, I packed a second set of headphones. I use the Run Shocks, Run whatever, open runs, and they're fantastic. Battery life is 8 to 10 hours, and just as a precaution, I've got a lot of gear where I've got double gear, and it's only because as a device gets close to the end of its life, I'll buy a second one, and then I've got two. And I bought a second pair of, I've got two running watches, just because this is not because of extra money or being fancy. It's like having two bicycles, you know. You got an old beater bike and then a race bike, or having a second set of goggles just in case, you know. As you get close to retiring one pair, buy a new pair, but then keep the old ones around. And I have a second set of headphones now that are new because my old ones are about a year and a half old. And my last ones I used so much, they died of sweat exposure right in the middle of a race. And I, over a year ago. So I bought this second pair, put it in the top pocket of my Camelback. And then eventually my headphones died, 8-9 hours in, and I put the new ones on. Now they're both black, open runs are both black. I like the black ones and for the color. And what I did was I took red fingernail polish and I put a little red dot on the back of it on both sides behind the ears, like tiger dots behind the ears, and that way I can tell which one's new and which one's old. Anyway, I did that, and that really helped. A lot of people won't do a frame bag, and that's unwise in my opinion. You want a frame bag because a frame bag actually makes your bike faster because it streamlines the shape of your bike. And a lot of these bikes have round tubes and aren't the most aerodynamic bikes, so this helps a lot. And then what's cool is with the frame bag, instead of reaching behind you in the jersey pocket, and as you get tired, that gives you arm cramps to keep reaching behind you, and have a lot of time with your hand off the bars and away from the bars in case you need your hands in an emergency. And on the left side, I kept my fuel, and I also have in there a paint stick to get mud out in case I encounter that. It didn't happen in this race, but it's an unbound thing. And then on the right side, I have, things like little gummy bears or gummy worms, sour gummy worms, and my sodium stuff all on the right side. And it's so cool. It's like the bento box. In my bento box, I have asthma inhaler and what's the other thing? Oh, my tire repair punch plugs and for quick access. And then I have, what was the other thing? Oh, Vaseline lip therapy, right? And a lot of people, gravel has a lot to learn from triathlon and vice versa. It's just like that. All the different sports have a lot to learn from each other. And anyway, I'm riding along and I use Vaseline lip therapy. I learned this from trail running, right? So here's one where trail running helps the other sports. Vaseline lip therapy is awesome for when you start to get a hot spot and you can prevent a blister or help a blister along from getting worse. And in the bento box right behind your stem, just reach in and dab. Riding with one hand, you can dab a little bit on your finger and then apply it where you need. And I also carry one with me when I run long distances. And these bike gloves I was wearing, I have a few sets of bike gloves, and I picked this one pair that I thought was a little bit more trim and meshy and going to be ventilated a little bit better for the heat. Well, I never go over 5 hours with these things in my training rides. Well, guess what happened at hour 6? I started getting a blister where the glove on the underside of my left wrist. It was really weird at the edge of it, like a stitch or a seam. So I applied a little bit while I was moving, a little bit of lip therapy right there. And that was the only hot spot I got the entire race. It's pretty cool. But it weighs almost nothing to carry that. And then you can buy that stuff at a gas station. It's a tiny little tube. It's like chapstick. But it's also medicinal in the lube. So it does two things at once. It starts the healing process, and also, which will take days, but it at least starts the healing process, and also abbreviates the blistering right then and there. For any kind of stuff, especially for trail running, you start getting a hot spot that you think might be a blister coming. You stop and put that stuff on that spot now. Don't wait. Pull over as soon as you can. Sit down. Take off your shoes and put that on the hot spot in your sock. You'll be so glad you did. Okay. Next we have... I was wearing cycling shorts that I wear sometimes. Of course I have 3, 4, 5 pair of cycling shorts that are just in rotation, and some are older and some are newer. And what I did was, before the race, out on my longer rides, as they were going through rotation, there was a pair that I thought would be the awesome bike shorts, right? So for the race, they just fit really nice, had no problems with them on a long ride. And I was like, okay, this is the pair I'm gonna wear. So on the label, I wrote R on the inside for race. And then a couple rides later, I was wearing a different pair, and I was like, wait, this pair is even better. I like these even more. So I wrote RR on the label. And then I took them both. I used one for like the pre-ride, and then one for the race. And turns out that a mix of, these aren't the cycling shorts I wear all the time. So they're a little bit smaller than the ones that I've worn forever and are starting to get loose and worn out. So they're a little bit shorter on the leg. I'm talking about an inch than the other shorts. And with that, I'm going past soccer fields right now. I was just over here swimming this morning, over here by the high school. And with the shorts, and also I had some sort of issue, I remember now, but I don't remember what it was, where I stuck some stuff into my bike shorts briefly. Like trash is a really great place. Or maybe it was the salt bottles. Yeah, I think it was the salt bottles. Anyway, it took up a little bit of space, and it ended up pulling up my bike shorts a little bit. So now, I didn't realize it, but I have untanned area exposed for hours now. And on my left leg, that untanned area, when you get a tan, your body builds up a little bit of melanin, and it depends on how well you tan and all this other stuff. But melanin, the darker you get, it prevents sunburn. Doctors say do not go out and pre-tan. You're just pre-cancering yourself. You're just pre-burning. But I don't know, there's some logic to it, because nowhere else on my body did I get a sunburn except right there, this little pale strip that was showing that doesn't get much sun, and it burned bad. I've got somewhere between first is the lightest, but first and second degree sunburn on the strip across the top of my left leg where it wasn't tanned before, and there was no melanin to work with blocking the sun. So that was interesting. I also just use sunscreen, and I'm blonde hair, blue eyes, but I tan really easily. And asking the dermatologist, I said, does that mean I'm less likely to get skin cancer? And he said, yeah, most likely. It helps if you tan easily that you're not going to get skin cancer, but it's all Russian roulette. So, this just improves your chances. I got one bullet in a 20 chamber gun, revolver, instead of 1 and 6. So anyway, Oh, I also figured out why my left leg started cramping so bad. Because this has happened in a couple races now, these long gravel races. Oh, by the way, Strava showed this. It was like, congratulations, this is your third longest ride. And I thought I was like, nah, what? And I thought about it some more. I'm like, you know what? I think they're right. My third longest ride is 147 miles, 48. Because my longest is when I did Ultra Baby, and that was 80 miles, 170 something miles in one day, one shot. And then you do a 10K swim, so 6 something mile swim, and then a 90 mile bike ride day one. Day two, 170 to 180 mile bike ride. And then day three, a double marathon, 52 mile run. Anyway, and I'm like, well, okay, that could be my first. What's my second? And I'm like, oh, Gravel Locos last year when they didn't alter the course and it was 157 miles. So that would be my longest. But anyway, when it's rough or I'm coasting or both for balance, I tend to ride with my right leg down. Sorry, it's really windy, so I'm trying to block the wind a little bit here. I ride with my left leg down. And doing that means my right leg down, sorry. And then, so that's extended. My left leg up. And with my left leg up, that curls your leg up, you know. Well, now your muscle fibers are kind of in a contracted state. Even if you're not like purposely contracting them, they're still, you know, kind of tightened up, wrapped around themselves, sort of, let's say. And what it's not doing is, compared to your right leg, you're spending a lot of time with your muscle fibers lengthened, so stretching them out, which helps prevent cramps. Because, you know, the first thing you do when you get a cramp is stretch out the muscle, right? You go, and then you try to stretch out a muscle. And I'm walking across a field now, big field. And I love being a triathlete. This is like no big deal to walk this. And so once I kind of connected the dots and realized that that's probably what's happening, this breeze is going to feel nice walking with it into it on the way back. I started purposefully riding with my left leg down, and then I noticed how awkward it was, you know, that's not my natural state. And I'm like, wow, I must do this a lot. So for future training, and also in my notes, I put to spend an equal amount of time with my left leg down and my right, and work on that in training, and then that'll help. A lot of talk lately about crank lengths, and I went and looked because I got the power meter pedals now, and you need to calibrate them based on the length of your cranks. I'm riding with 175s, which, you know, pushes your leg up way up into your chest, sort of, depending. But I'm really tall. And that 175s feel very natural to me. The only time I've ever had trouble with them is in triathlon, being slammed with your chest down into really slammed aero bars. I went to 172.5s and actually could breathe a little bit better. My gut wasn't as compressed. So there's definitely truth to that. But I'm keeping the long cranks because I don't have very low gearing, relatively speaking, on my gravel bike. And when you go with shorter cranks, the thing is, oh, you're not getting as much leverage, but you just fix that with better gearing. And it's like, oh, well, I don't have that. Right? The gearing was bad enough where I needed, causing a traffic jam walking across. I needed to walk my bike, right? So longer cranks actually is a gearing thing that you don't need as lower gears. If you have really short cranks, you need lower gearing. But just barely. Anyway, but I would take everything I would get. So there was that. Saw people without aero bars having to shake out their hands, really miserable. Just get aero bars, people. They're really helpful. And especially if you do multi-sport, it is so fun to ride gravel in aero bars. Man, it's just so fun. It really takes a load off your hands and you can ride a whole lot farther. And in gravel races, you're gonna be solo at some point for long stretches of time into the wind. And if you're from a triathlon background, man, you feel dumb sitting upright like that. Okay, and then in my test riding of what shorts I was gonna wear, I was also testing out obviously what kit I was gonna wear, like jersey wise. And man, I came across an old kit that was perfect. And when I did a local Gran Fondo, I got a jersey from doing it that is super meshy, super stretchy, and it's kind of like waffle knit mesh that's thin. It's so thin you can basically almost see through it. And we're getting close to Chick-fil-A. Actually, I'm going to cross over. Well, you know what? I'll wait till I'm over here to cross over. The big median. Looks like Mount Everest and when I'm in flip-flops in the heat. Actually, there's more shade on this side. It's getting hot and sunny out here. And then, so test riding in it, I realized on pretty hot days, I did not feel hot in it at all. Unless you come to a real slow standstill, then you start to feel maybe a little bit hot. But man, those kinds of jerseys really work, and it was body fitting. And so it was perfect, man. I was like super excited for this jersey. And then I have on top of that some old DeSoto arm coolers. And DeSoto arm coolers are very particular type of arm coolers. It's their I don't know whatever they call them. But anyway, they're arm coolers that have a more open weave mesh knit. And these ones are kind of old, so they're very open weave mesh knit now. The sun just does, like the heat just does not bother me. They transfer sweat off your body so fast. This combo that I never got hot during the race except for twice for like a minute each time. The rest of the time I felt completely fine, which is something else, man. Like there's just people dying all around me. And you know, I have a ton of different jerseys and it was just so impressive how a fabric choice can make a big deal. Now, the other thing is I rode with some old Zoot calf compression sleeves that I got for trail running and used for triathlon. And I did a mix of reasons why I wore those. I wore them, one, actually to keep sweat out of my shoes. With that much fabric going down from the top of your calves and then your socks, you're a lot less likely to have all that sweat and stuff running down your leg and pulling up in your shoes, because that extra surface area that fabric makes will evaporate. Hey, it's a bird. Will make it so it evaporates first. I'm almost at Chick-fil-A. I'm like about to walk into the parking lot after I cross this intersection here. And I'm actually going to keep walking. Hell, I don't know what I'm doing. And then the other thing is, you know, aero socks. Aero socks are, you know, let's say 5 to 10 watts of savings because of the vertical ribbing on them compared to your legs. I shave my legs, but then, because that's 5 to 10 watts right there. But then I just did these anyway because they're kind of like aero socks. They're stitched. They're not intentionally aero socks, but they are stitched vertically and kind of like aero socks are. And I figure that these are kind of like 2-in-1. And then there's also the compression that helps blood flow, that helps keep your legs from fatiguing. All right, I am at Chick-fil-A, and I'm going to order some food while my car is being worked on, and I'll be right back. Air conditioning. All right, I'm in the shade under a tree, looking for I just finished eating, looking to walk back in a wind cover for my microphone, and I've irritated the birds around me as I move around. I think they have a nest in here. I have these terrible birds here called grackles. I used to have a coworker someplace I worked that talked a lot about herself, and we had, much like she was just doing a podcast all the time. And our nickname for her was the Grackle. Anyway, I'm sure people have nicknames for me. Okay, next thing to talk about, and we're going to get a little bit of wind noise on here. We're just going to have to deal with it. I refilled my Chick-fil-A Diet Coke, so I got carbonated, cold, icy water on the way back. Looking for shady places to walk. Really don't see any on the way back without crossing a major boulevard. I'm gonna suck it up. I'm passing a Walmart over here on my right. Hopefully somebody doesn't steal the catalytic converter from my bottom bracket. Okay, so it's the day we're on. It got really, really, really hot. I was fine, but I was feeling sick was actually the problem. So I guess I wasn't fine, but I was fine with the heat. And started getting that thing, so I can't pedal with my left leg. And so I'm having to pedal kind of with one leg, maybe like a 1/3 effort out of my left leg. So getting, it's just wearing me out. Because every time I pedal, my leg would cramp up. But I was kind of figuring it out, but I still had to be really gentle with my left leg. And then on one of the rougher bottom, maybe a creek crossing, it was just a low spot. I heard, as I was going down, it was real rough, and I heard this bang. And I was like, what was that? Eventually I concluded that my frame got hit by a big rock, which happens a lot in gravel. It's kind of cool. It's one reason some people don't ride carbon in gravel. They ride metal frames of some sort. My bike's magnesium metal, which is super cool. But anyway, and I was like, I guess I was wrong. And then a little while later, I looked down to see my time and distance and my progress, and my bike computer's missing. I was like, what the F? And it's like, this is a problem. Then I noticed, at first I was like, oh, and then, because I just bought this thing. And then I noticed it was dangling by its little cord, little wrist strap thing from my aero bars. It's like, what happened? And I'd hit so hard that it broke the mount off between my aero bars. And I was like, oh, cool, I still got my bike computer. But let me tell you, it is really difficult to navigate an unmarked gravel course for like 40 miles with your bike computer, which for whatever reason, after I just told you about a frame bag, I decided the best place for it was in my rear jersey pocket. So I'd either have to slow down really slow or come to a complete stop and be like, okay, in about 1.4 miles, right turn on County Road 218, right? So 14218. And then a little while later, I'm like, was it right turn 1.8 miles on County Road 214? So start all over again. And every time I'm riding with one hand on my handlebars, reaching behind my back. So that hand on the handlebars is cramping up. And then the hand that's reaching back is the arm, the biceps cramping up. My shoulder, bicep, lats, all cramping up. I'm walking across traffic. I'm a pedestrian. I have a right to be here. Okay. And, there's a big field again. I'm gonna walk across this field. It's got a couple trees in it. That'll help a little bit. Not much, though. It's probably got fire ant mounds all over it. Anyway. So that really, really sucked. But I still had a bike computer. Okay, I'm gonna rest here in the shade and cool down for a second. And we're gonna start our trek again. I'm picking a route that's under the most shade. I think if I go that way. course navigation never ends. Now at this point it's getting really hard and it's really hot, and slowing down to stop to check things isn't the worst thing. You know, you got to see the upside of stuff. Well, I'm gonna pull my pants up. They got a little loose, my belt. Car slowing down to check me out. None of your beeswax, bro. Oh, something I learned from Angela today. You want to be peeing about every hour. She said hour and 45 minutes. That means you're hydrated. And I was up until then, but the pees just became much less voluminous as we went along. But anyway, if you're having to pee a lot, but you're weak, that means your blood is trying to thin itself out to concentrate blood sugar. Did you all know that? Allergies. Ooh, I'm about to walk across a bunch of wildflowers. That's kind of cool. So it started getting really bad, and I was wishing for a little bit. I was concerned about water, and so we're going to be into a strong headwind here for a second. Just deal with it. You can deal with it. You're endurance athletes. Y'all are tough. And at one point, I was crossing a rough creek, crossing kind of ish low spot, and my new strategy, you know, is just like pedal uphill, coast downhill, right? Then you're only pedaling like half the time and you're recovering on the downhill. It's just really hard to pedal with cramps in your legs. And just in my left leg, which, by the way, pro tip, if you're gonna use a muscle that's cramped up, you're tearing muscle fibers a little bit. My leg hurt and I had a limp for like 3 days in that one spot, that one muscle inside of my left thigh. Anyway, I was just like, man, crossing these, you know, just kind of navigating this not very technical but not smooth pavement little spot. I suddenly found it very difficult to control the bike, you know, like it was getting way too easy to wreck. And I was like, oh, this is not good. I'm going to cross right here. Inside of turn of the street is shorter distance than the outside turn. Oh, and there's shade trees. I'm going to walk onto the shade trees. And that was concerning. That was a legitimate concern. I was like, oh, this could be the first sign of a game stopper, you know, if you're too weak to navigate the bike. And that's when I started thinking about stopping to take a break and see what happens. And then the leg cramps so bad. And then I think on one of the hills, which, this is funny, climbing, I guess. And then one of the hills, I got to the top of it. And then I said, I need to stop and take a break. So I laid down in a ditch, found a spot to lay down, and in the shade a little bit. Make sure there's no rattlesnakes and no fire ants. It's very typical Texas stuff. And did see a really cool rat snake crossing the road. And laid there for a while, drinking water, thinking about my life's choices. And I'm telling you, dude, I was contemplating about, man, what do I do if I have to quit, right? I started negotiating in my mind, like, if I quit, how do I quit, right? That's not a good sign. So then I was like, sat up after 15 minutes, started thinking about trying to get on the bike, and I can see it in my heart rate graph. My heart rate elevated a little bit, and I kind of wandered around a little bit, and then I laid back down again. It's so funny. I was like, nah, maybe not. I had to lay a little bit longer, think about this again. I probably got really lightheaded, and the water was working, but I just needed more, you know? And so I figured I'd just do a little bit more of the same, because it seemed to be working. It just wasn't enough yet. And by then, well, one person had already stopped to check on me. And that's how spread out we are, you know. It's like every 5-10 minutes somebody comes by. on a bike in the race. And I said, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just laying here taking a break for a minute. And then, it'd be nice if I was not at the top of the hill. I was at the bottom and laying in a creek. That would have been cool. But I'm laying there. And then towards the end of it, this guy stops. You could tell he was looking for an excuse for a break. And he goes, yeah, just right around this turn up here, right here. I mean, like, he's pointing, like you could see where he's pointing. He goes, right here. Oh, I'm on a Frisbee golf course. Check this out. That's cool. He goes, right here. It's downhill from here to the next aid station. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. It's like Kai was when he found out that Emily and Kylie had sealant. It was so funny. Because I go, okay. So I got on my bike, pedaled like probably 10 pedal strokes, and then was like, oh, coasted downhill for like 2-3 miles, maybe more, which felt amazing, especially on aero bars. I just laid in them and I caught this breeze. Okay, we're gonna check the map and see where we're at. I'm in the shade. Let's see. Starting to get hot. It's 86 degrees, 87, 88, but heat coming off the pavement. Although it's breezy and I'm trying to stay in the shade, which is some of the time. Google Maps. Where are you, Brett? Yeah, so I take a left here and then a right on Oak Hollow. Oak Hollow and then Britain. Okay, right on Oak Hollow, left on Britain. Oh, we got a long stretch of sun. Ugh. No shade. Hot asphalt. Here's the energy lab of my walk for lunch. Anyway, so I got to the aid station, and right about then, Emily and Kai had called me and offered to come and give me any help that they could. And I said, yeah, you know what, some water would be nice. And Gravel Locos assistants, people with trucks, I guess, had already offered twice to stop and give me some water that I should have taken them up on. So I figured it's outside help, but whatever. They were trying to keep people from dying. Anything was okay at this point. I was not in the contention to win, so it's all right. But anyway, it never even happened anyway. So I roll downhill to this aid station, feel way better, but still I'm a mess. And when I get there, after drinking sugary stuff all day, I was looking for something else, and they had pretzels, spicy pretzels actually. And so I ate a bag of spicy pretzels, one of these little snack bags, and then was drinking water, plain water, because that already has salt on it, on the pretzels, and started to feel way better. And filled up a couple water bottles, and by then Emily and Kai pulled up, or maybe they pulled up before that. And I said, meet me at the aid station, I'm going downhill. Anyway, and then from there, it was pretty much uphill, it was somewhere between 5 and 10 miles uphill, but at least it was stair step uphill, so you have little breaks of coasting or flat. And the sun was getting lower, so it wasn't quite as hot, and there was a bit of a tailwind, so it wasn't like the worst. Yeah, now I'm sweating finally after all of this. Oh, it's because I'm walking with the wind on hot asphalt with no shade. That'll do you. So then my legs started doing the seizing thing. Oh, and Emily and Kai gave me a bottle, and I said, can you, before you leave the RV, the trailer, can you fill up a bottle with electrolyte in it? So for whatever reason, one of those two rock stars put in triple the amount of electrolyte in that thing. So I started drinking. I was like, man, this tastes salty. And then as I drank some of it, like a few mouthfuls of it, I started to get ill, like really sick to my stomach. And so I poured it out and I said, guys, can you put regular water in? What is this? Oh, well, we put 3 times in. And I'm like, oh my God, people, you're killing me. I'm so close to finishing, and now you're trying to sodium poison me. And anyway, here's the rest here for you. Turn, face and breeze for a second. Oh, there's a squirrel. Hey, squirrel. This feels good. The guy that won the Hawaii half Ironman did it by earlier in the day getting all the work done, and then last thing in as he was running across the golf course, stopping under shade trees. He won the whole freaking thing. It's okay, I'm harmless. Mostly harmless. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And so then I've got this camera with me, right? So I'm like, I want to get a video of the finish. I didn't know it until yesterday, but I lost one of the protective lens covers of the camera, which is very dangerous to the camera because you scratch the lenses. Oh, there we go. Here's a breeze. That'll cool me down a little bit. And then it was a long trudge uphill. And then finally I get to the highway, and there's about, I doubt it's a mile, probably somewhere between half a mile and a mile. Gradual uphill, but at least it's pavement. But it's 70, 75 mile per hour with barely any shoulder. And but I turn my camera on, and then I pedal up that, and it's a right-hand turn into the fairgrounds thing, and across the finish line. And as I'm turning, I hear this cheering for me, and it's Kylie, Guy's girlfriend. And she'd gone over and grabbed the mic and announced me coming across the finish line. I'm going to post the video if I can, if it's all working. I still haven't had time to get on that video thing because I'm new to it, how to edit it and get it off the device. And put it on Instagram, Zen Triathlon on Instagram. And then what's funny is this thing, if it's ever happened to you, when you do like a really, really, really long race and it ends on the bike in particular, where I rolled across the finish line and it was this like gradual downhill. It's dirt. Even though I wanted to stop, the bike just kept rolling. So I was like about 100 yards from the finish line. It just kept going. I was like, I was so used to taking advantage of any momentum. And then I got off the bike. Emily got a photo of me. But yeah, Kylie was like, and now we've got Brett with the podcast. She goes, I know this guy. Brett was in the Art of Endurance podcast. So that was really cool. And then let's see what else we got in my notes here. Gearing wise, I was running, here's a left on Britain, like I said. I was running a 42 front chain ring and then an 1144 11 speed in the back. Or 1142, in the back. So that means I had a 1-to-1 climbing gear and I had a 4211 top end gear. And what I noticed is, I would run out. I could have pedaled more when I was going downhill, like on pavement. There was more, I had room for one more shift if I had more gearing. I could have had a little bit taller of a gear. But honestly, once you hit critical velocity, you're better off coasting than pedaling. And then Kai at the pro end of things, he was running a 44 chain ring and an 11 tooth rear as his max. So 4411 is his max. And I said, did you ever run out of gears? And he goes, nah, I didn't run. So if you're wondering about gearing for gravel and what should be your top end, you think about going up in a chain ring. A lot of badass people find that a 4411 is plenty. I'm about to pass a guy mowing his yard in jeans. I'm in the Midwest, man. People are very jeans oriented. Here I am. I'm in jeans too. Who knows why he's doing it like that? Hey, man.
I know you already done most of it.
Are you headed back right now?
No, I'll take you right now.
Yeah, okay. There was another guy around the corner. I thought maybe it was you on your lunch break, like if you lived right on here.
Oh, no. I live in North, right? Yeah, usually I take my... I maybe might get some hair on you.
Oh, that's okay. I've got 3 dogs,
Yeah, I started to say you probably used to it.
I just now started sweating. The whole trip there and back to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah?
Right over here, going with the wind and no shade.
Your name?
Yeah, all that. Yeah, Brett.
Yeah, I seen crazy stuff you do on.
Yeah,
Driving.
What was
Yeah.
yours? What was your name?
Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do follow you on Strava.
Yeah.
I remember after we talked last time,
Yeah,
I
I
followed
used to
you.
go around in circles all the time.
Yeah.
And I think you commented one time, you said...
It's a lot of circles.
Yeah, a lot of circles or something to me, and I was like...
I do circles too. They're just bigger, I guess.
But they put speed bumps up.
Oh. Yeah.
And I'm glad I get out. I mean, the route I take is pretty safe. I mean, hey, I have seen cars go up on curves right in front of me, and I was up on the walkway, especially over here on University. They'll turn too soon, and they'll end up on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good to be safe, but there's so much you can do. That's why I like that run to Crockett, because the shoulders are real wide.
Yeah. My son was out riding this morning. He should be done by now. Out to
Yeah, I love
south of town, down to 105.
Oh, really?
159 down by the Brazos River
I
bottom.
done North Bryan to 105, and then I go Brental or Navasota to Brental, and then I go 36. I've done it a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I take 36 to Caldwell, and I come back.
Yeah, that's a good
pretty
ride
safe.
right there. Yeah.
The only
That's a really good ride.
The only thing I hate is getting up that hill on the 105 there in Navasota. You know where you exit off Highway 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially pulling that dog. But I've never done it really with the dog.
Yeah.
But I have gone to Navasota with the dog.
Yeah, that's a fun ride.
Oh, yeah. Well, one day
Well,
we'll get together. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen all that stuff. Yeah. I was like, man, I couldn't end up. You do a lot out here in Washington.
Yeah.
Independence.
Well, I'm always open to more stuff.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, thanks.
You too, buddy.
Guy just gave me a lift. Cool. He rides with his pit bull behind his bicycle and a baby carrier thing. So, back at the dealer, let's check on my car. Hey. I left for lunch, but I haven't heard anything since this morning. Can you check on my vehicle and let me know what the status is? All right, leaving the pool. It's kind of difficult. The past few days have been difficult. Really dehydrated. The heat picked up around here at an insane amount. As far as like with humidity, like unbelievable. I was running on Saturday morning and this lady goes by and was like, dude, we need gills to run in this. I mean, like 90 degrees, 92 degrees, but 80% humidity or something. I mean, it's just freaking... And it dehydrated the crap out of me. And then Sunday, we're going to pick up with the rest of the gravel Locos here in a second. Sunday went, and I got lots of cool stuff to tell you. And then yesterday, Sunday morning, today's Memorial Day, Monday morning, went for what I thought was going to be I was being optimistic. I knew it probably wasn't going to work out, but I made fuel for a 4-hour bike ride and got, just like an hour in and knew I was in trouble. And then turned around and went back the fun way on gravel, at least. That way I got my dose of outdoors. Hold on, I'm loading shit into the truck. And I need to catch my breath. Well, I noticed when I started pedaling that like I had trouble breathing. And I was like, oh, it's humidity. But I'm starting to think dehydration is part of the picture. And we're gonna upload the data for my goggles here in a second. And definitely was dehydrated. I don't know if it's breathing related, but it could be because here I got my Kind bar as a snack. No, I use those endurance suits. Yeah, Speedo Endurance or TYR Endurance. They're made out of a different material. They're more like polypropyl instead of Lycra. And so they're not quite as stretchy. You feel a little bit more like you're wearing a swimsuit from the 1930s or something. But then they don't get wrecked. But when I used to wear like the real stretchy, typical Lycra ones, yeah, those go.
Yeah, mine's like almost.
Oh, mine lasted like 3 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's probably extra chlorine they put in because this is a kid's pool. Yeah. They're trying to kill everything. Thank God. That's my buddy who's a professor at the local community college. Computer science. He's an awesome dude. Anyway, but you can tell you're dehydrated by you get cramps all over. You get floaters in your eyes and stuff. That's dehydration. And that's what I was getting. So I just piddled back home, but God, it's so hot, it's just a mess. And then it wrecks you for the rest of the day. And you sit on the internet and argue with people about aero bars instead of getting anything done. So let's see. Let's go through uploading my swim. Resume swim, no. I'm looking through the goggles right now. Drills, save and quit, yes. Done! Total time, yeah, okay. I've learned that turning on the app after I'm done with my swim makes it connect with the goggles and upload. You can allow new connections and settings. Okay, I don't know what it's doing. There we go. Now it's connected to my goggles. There's an update available for my goggles synced. I don't believe you, or else I'd have a workout. There we go. Okay, it worked. It kicked me out of my recording to Bluetooth connect to my goggles and download the workout. 4,000 yards. 4,046 yards, 129 pace, 128 pace per 100 yards. I did something a little bit different, and it occurred to me. I had a moment of zen. I typically do 5 sets of 850 yards with lately a minute and a half break in between. I was doing 2 minutes, seemed to be too long. And swimming with the pull buoy, for me, is a whole lot easier than swimming without. I don't think that's the case for everybody. I think you get to a point where it's easier. Maybe at first it's a little bit harder because for some people it wears out their upper body. To be using their upper body entirely for propulsion. But if it lifts your legs up, it gets you in a better position, and then it allows you to slip through the water a whole lot better. So instead of alternating, usually I do my first set 850 with a pull buoy. That way it's, for me, nice and easy, and I'm just gliding along. And I swim about 1 second per 100 faster with the pull buoy. And at a lower heart rate too. It's just like cool gliding along. And yeah, the Bluetooth is off now, so it doesn't jump to the wrong mic. And then I alternate. Then the second set I do without a pull buoy, now that I'm warmed up. For swimming, you can warm up just by swimming easy, and then it gets everything flowing to all your joints. And just start off the first few hundred yards, not pulling too hard. That way you don't pull a muscle or a joint or something. And then I alternate, then the third set, pull buoy the entire way. Fourth set, no pull buoy. Fifth set, pull buoy, except for the last 100 yards, I ditch it and then swim really hard, full body. Full body versus upper body only. But anyway, what I did today was I did the whole first set pull buoy, and then I was like, man, I'm struggling because I'm dehydrated. I'm gonna swim the second set with a pull buoy too. But then I got partway through the second set, and I was like, I'm not struggling as bad. I'm gonna swim the last few hundred yards without it, and I liked it. I just in the middle of instead of doing a flip turn, I do an open turn and throw the pull buoy onto the edge. Hey, there's a shopping cart. And I need to see if the Dodge dealership is open. My 4-wheel drive went out, and it's a $3,000 repair bill, which I think is a joke. Actually, I think that's made up. But anyway, it turns out it's under warranty, hopefully, because it's my car's under 60,000 miles and it's part of the drivetrain. Talk about ridiculous. It's Memorial Day. Are car dealers open on Memorial Day? I don't know. We'll find out. Gates are open, so probably. I'll call. We got a grocery store stop to do here anyway. But your moment of swimming zen is... so then I did I switched and started doing the last few hundred yards at most of every set. Full body swim after doing the first majority of the set, kind of easing into things, starting off slow. It's like doing just a progressive build. You're just making it harder as you go along. Starting off with a pull buoy, and then making it harder by ditching it towards the end. And then you use your little interval break for a minute and a half to recover. Anyway, But the pull buoy, I noticed that, you know, it enhances your glide. And then I was like, dude, a pull buoy is the bicycle. It's the freewheel bicycle of swimming. The cool thing about bicycling, the reason it's so efficient, is you can glide, right? You build up, you do some work, and then you can glide downhill or with the tailwind or whatever. And it allows you to recover. And a pull buoy, because it lifts your legs up, you swim, and then there's just these longer extended periods of a little bit more glide. It's more like riding a skateboard instead of running. You know, running, you stop giving forward motion, you stop. Pull buoy or bicycle, you stop giving forward motion, you glide a little bit before you come to a stop. You get to milk that momentum more than what it's worth. Your body doesn't put on the automatic brakes. And with the pull buoy, you glide. And that's why it's faster. Well, it's faster because it lifts your legs up, and that allows you to glide. And then, yeah. Anyway, let's do the interview with the USWE guy, Steve Carter, I think. Made such an impression, I actually remembered his name, which is a rarity for me. Let's talk to Steve Carter. Steve Carter, after the race on Sunday morning at the Country Cub Cafe, if I haven't played it already. Here we go.
Packs there. It wasn't time for that, but
It's too cold. Remember how cold it was?
yeah, it was a little chilly.
All right, I'm here with Steve Carter with USWE.
Yes, USWE sales rep, picked that gig up about February this year, and I've been going to events and making sure that people have these hydration packs before they go out in the Texas heat.
Yeah, and you did Rocky Raccoon.
I did Rocky Raccoon 50 this year. I did the 100 last year.
Yeah, what was your time for the 100, do you remember?
Last year, just under 29 hours. It was like 28 hours of running, which was brutal.
Yeah. You're the guy that pulled me out of the mud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pulled you into your spot.
Yeah, thank you. What's your name?
Eric.
Eric?
Yeah.
Brett?
Yeah, good to meet you.
Yeah. So with the USWE packs, they're from
Sweden.
And you're wearing blue and yellow right now. Do they know?
It's funny. Do they know? I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
They know that I'm all in. I'm totally invested.
Yeah.
And it's been so fun just representing this great company.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the Peloton as you line up for these gravel races.
Yeah.
And if you're at the front and you can turn around and you can see everyone clad in USWE, and if you're at the back, you can look forward and you can see everybody with a USWE hydration pack on their back too.
And I thought USWE did the ultimate marketing trick is by coloring their the hoses red.
Yes, the red
they
hose.
stand out.
You know, I was just looking at a picture. I hiked the Grand Canyon in September last year, and I had a pack on, but I used my hydration bladder. So the red hose was hanging over my shoulder outside of my hiking pack.
Yeah.
And it was clear as day that it was, you know, a USWE bladder that was inside of this hiking pack.
So the race was super, super hot. I saw
yesterday.
104 degrees on my bike computer going up one of the hills. It was
Holy
asphalt,
smokes.
you know, because it was heated up from the sun.
Yes.
From the road facing the sun. But then you said a lot of people really used their USWE packs.
Oh, without a doubt. Yes.
Yeah.
They were crucial in the success of people's riding.
Like I was telling you, I left an aid station and went back to go fill up my pack because I was like, this is crazy out here. It was so hot.
Absolutely.
I took a nap on the side of the road twice.
Did you?
Yeah, to let the hydration settle in. I just quit moving and just let it
for sure.
soak in.
And just finding shade to do that was kind of challenging as well.
Towards the end when it got really hot,
Yes.
that's where it got really crucial.
Yes.
Yeah. So USWE packs, so you got a new model out?
The Race 2.0 is the newest model, and it is slim. Dylan Johnson did some wind tunnel testing with it, and
that's the one,
showed that it's actually more aerodynamic. Yeah. And then I think Ben Delaney thwarted that, and then there's
well, it depends on the person.
It depends on the individual, right?
Yeah.
The wind tunnel is the wind tunnel. So
I've done hydration packs in Ironmans because it fills in the gap behind your Ironman Texas, which is super hot, and that was my fastest time was wearing a hydration pack.
No kidding. That's
and
great.
the guy that won the amateur at Kona a few years back won it on the run wearing a hydration pack. They thought he was a tourist, and he won.
So was he wearing a run hydration pack or was he wearing?
This was a long time ago.
Okay.
This was like
so probably a bike
8 years
hydration
ago.
pack because the run ones are pretty new.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I got into repping USWE was with the run stuff at Rocky. And the run vests are phenomenal too. I've been wearing mine for several years, doing all of my ultra marathon.
I've started wearing a run one, and I'm worried it's a no-name brand, and it's going to fall apart soon. And I'm looking for a replacement.
No, I got a couple in the truck.
Oh, I didn't even mean to say that. So
that's
I noticed.
The salesman in me, right?
I noticed. What I was saying the bike one is too much. In the run, there's one definitely made for running. Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Pace models are the Pace 2, the Pace 8, and the Pace 14 are the main ones that I sell for running.
And ever since I started wearing the one I've got holds like 1.5 liters, I think.
Yes,
and it makes my runs here in Texas like so much easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Depending on the heat, humidity, whatever you're facing.
Yeah. I just have no worries.
It gives you the extra confidence.
Yeah.
To
then I can
stay
run as
out
hard
there.
as I want or just as long as I want because I got enough fluid.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Steve.
Good deal, Brett. Thank you so much.
How do people get in touch? Where do they find the USWE stuff?
The big stuff is the Instagram. So USWE Sports on Instagram. I think it's USWE_sports. There's also a USWE_bike page. And we have a brand new USWE_run page.
Okay.
Where people are tagging and posting and they're sharing. Honestly, by us talking about USWE right now or anyone listening to this podcast, as it plays, your phone's going to see that and hear that, and you're going to start getting advertisements on your Facebook like crazy. It's going to be great.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Tim, for saving me the other day.
No problem.
That was fun.
We're here
All
to
right.
save everybody.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Brett. I'll come back in a second.
All right. All right. Get in touch with him if you want a USWE pack. The pink one that Kylie got is freaking awesome. It's laying on the counter right now in our kitchen, and it's just burns your eyes. It's so bright. It looks so cool. And pink really stands out on the road. It is an unnatural color out there, but it's also a pleasant color. And that's perfect for biking on roads with traffic for safety. And also it's a light color, so it doesn't get as hot in the sun as like you were wearing a black. Don't use black gear, black bladder bags in the summer months. It'll heat up your stuff like so hot. Black bottles, all that stuff. Bad idea. Anyway, that pretty much wraps up the show. I've been playing around with the Insta360 camera some more. Oh, the power meter pedals. Been riding with the power meter pedals. I knew that the ride yesterday was pretty much crap because my power was so low compared to what it should be at that heart rate. And I was like, oh, it's done. And Kai said the same thing. He went for a bike ride Saturday and said the exact same thing. He gave up and came home because his power was so low versus what it should be. And that's what power meter pedals or power of any kind can do for you. What I don't like is it wanting to calibrate. It's probably a setting I can turn off, but biking's getting to the point where your bicycle's as complicated as a car was 10, 15 years ago. And I turn on the bike computer and it's like, I do not want to ride on a training ride without a rear radar. I was telling somebody the coolest thing about rear radar with gravel riding is, or if you're riding single lane kind of country roads without a center stripe, right? So there is no right lane, left lane. On those kind of roads where if you're in a car, you kind of drive down the middle of the road anyway, because it's crowned a little bit. The most awesome thing is because if there's a car coming up behind you or not, you can ride on the side that's either A, with the most shade, or B, smoother. That's in the United States, where you ride on the right side of the road. Well, the left side of the gravel or single lane may be smoother or more shaded, or C, both, which is glorious. And that there's not a car coming up behind you, and there's so little traffic out on a gravel road or a really rural road, a narrow road like that it's not I don't think you're breaking the law by riding on the left side of the road. If there's no center line, there is no left side of the road. It's just the road. Anyway, imagine having that argument with a cop. That would be one of the logical things. I get into arguments with people at burrito stops when they ask me what I want for my protein. I'm like, there's already protein in it. You mean, what do I want for my meat? And they're like, your protein. And I'm like, well, there's already, like, say it's already got eggs. What do you want for your meat? And I'm like, it's already got eggs. And they're like, what? Eggs aren't meat? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's the entire chicken. It's more meat than any kind of meat ever. I go, wait, eggs grow on a bush? You know? No, dude, it's an animal. Anyway, beans have protein. Flour has protein. Everything has protein in it, almost everything. A little bit. Anyway, I get pedantic, you know. Be like, you're not riding on the left side of the road. Oh yeah, what's the left side? There is no side. I have to have a center stripe for there to be a side. It's just the road, you know. That's what gets me in trouble sometimes. Anyway, something I'm looking into, I thought about this last summer, is trying creatine, not for creatine's sake, because you're supposed to take it to put on muscle mass and all that stuff, you know. And I used to be into weightlifting and sort of bodybuilding, you know, as much as somebody that's not really into it can be, just wanting to look good. And back in my college days. And let me see if I can find a place to park. I am totally in the wrong way on this road here. And here we go. This is way better. I do not want to put on muscle, because that's actually a little counterproductive. If you've already got muscle, you might want to shape up your muscle. But if you already got muscle, you don't necessarily want to use creatine to put on more. And creatine is supposedly one of the safest supplements you can possibly take. It's one of the most studied. There's almost no side effects that are bad, except one. Creatine puts on water weight, anywhere from like 2 to 5 pounds. And a lot of people's first reaction is, if they're into endurance sports, is, oh crap, I don't want to carry all that water around. That slows me down. But I had a moment, connected the dots, and I was like, that water is actually really useful if it's hot. If the water is available to your body, or is it locked up and unavailable? And so I went to the world's smartest website, Slow Twitch forums, and I asked. And the overwhelming consensus was, no argument on it, was, no, it's not bound to you. It's freely available water. And I thought, I've got an idea. If you supplement with creatine and you add this water weight, if you're prone to dehydration and you live in a really hot place, carrying an extra 2 to 5 pounds of freely available water intracellularly is kind of like being like a camel. You actually have like a full body camelback, USWE pack. I mean, 2 pounds of water is quite a bit, and might make working out and enduring the heat for workouts in Texas, it might be, you know, a game changer. Give you that buffer so that you don't get dehydrated as often, and change everything. And the other thing is, creatine's like super cheap. So after being dehydrated enough, I'm going to give it a try and see if it makes a difference. I could see, problem with the theory is that you don't rehydrate fast enough for it to be effective. Once you get dehydrated, the creatine wants to pull water back into the body, but not into places where your body needs it immediately to recover from the dehydration. You know, who knows? So we're just going to try it out and see what happens. And I think we're going to wrap up the show with, the power meter pedals are so far working really great. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. I turn on the bike. After I upload my goggles and then get home, I turn on my bike, and the GPS connects, heart rate connects. Those are fine. It does it just kind of passable. But I got to turn on my heart rate device, whatever I'm using. If you're using a chest strap, you got to put that on. If you're using your watch, you got to broadcast it, tell it to broadcast, and then the rear radar comes on. I'm not leaving the house without that thing on a training ride. On the rare occasion where it happens that I either forget it or it dies, I'm like, no, man, this sucks. And it is totally liberating to be able to have the rear radar. But that's yet another thing. And then now the power meter pedals, I find a little annoying, and it's probably just a setting, like I said, that I could change. But it asks me before every ride if I want to calibrate the pedals, and I have to sit there and go, no, and then I think it's just the bike computer in general is just like annoying with all these questions and stuff. Now, this latest bike computer, when I finish work, these are probably settings. I finish a workout, it asks me all these questions, and I can't get it to stop asking questions. And it's, like, I guess it's how many calories did I eat and how many bottles. I've just been tapping through it. As a triathlete, we have no time to pay attention to anything. We're just oblivious to the world. And it's everything we can do just to get our workouts in. So I actually need to pay attention to it. And I bet it's asking how many calories and how much water I drank, calories I ate and water I drank, to dial in what I need probably during a race or a better performance. And I guess if it's recording temperature, which it actually needs humidity, and I don't think it's recording that to get the real feel heat index. But anyway, then it's probably optimizing for better performance. So suggestions, while you're racing, what to do. Oh, we were talking about what are we going to do next? Kai wants to race local stuff to dial in his nutrition and whatever. I think I need to work with him on nutrition, because I think he's a little bit all over the place, which is normal for his age. But the sooner we get it fixed, the better performance he can have, and it can actually alter his trajectory in his career of biking. And he's confused about how much of this and this product and that product, and how much sugar and sodium and stuff. Oh, and that reminds me, I'm pretty sure what made me sick towards the end of my gravel race was too much sodium. Because what I did on this ride that sucked yesterday was I put in the same amount of sodium that I did during the race, and I started to feel a little bit ill. And then I went by a post office, and there's a water spigot on the back, this rural post office, and filled it up, and then I felt better. Drinking plain water, it diluted the water again. So yeah, I think that might have been it, using the scientific method of A and B testing. Let me check my notes and see if we got anything else, and then we can wrap up the show. Yeah, we've got Unbound is coming up next. Maybe I can get the show out before then. And then Emily Newsome as an interview. Amy Tetrick. She's a pro that rides for Specialized. I've got her possibly lined up for an interview. And one last tip for going fast in the summer heat was, if you can, cut your hair short. And that's a personal choice, styling and stuff. And I've grown my hair out several times. Every winter I let my hair grow kind of long, and it seems to help with staying a little bit warmer. And then right before this race, a week before the race, I got my hair cut short. Oh, tangent, a guy at the pool told me that I looked leaner, like I looked like I've lost weight. And I said, oh, that's how you know. Somebody else tells you. So it's working. Anyway, the haircut, if you're okay with getting your haircut short, do it right before a race, or just do it all summer long, and it makes a difference. I just had the cooling effect of wind blowing through my helmet, making me so much cooler. I noticed immediately. If you've ever been like in the military or something like that, and you go from long hair to getting your hair cut super short, your head is actually cold because you're not used to it. So imagine that on a hot race day. And yeah, I got my hair cut number 3 guard, sides and back, which is pretty short. It's basically a shaved clippers. And then how long is it on top? 2.5 inches, 3 inches on top. It looks like 2.5 inches on top. And that made a world of difference. And because your hair provides matted insulation, and it doesn't let the wind contact your scalp and cool off your head during the race. And your head is directly, one of the first things that hits the wind, and it has an awesome cooling effect. All right, I think that's it. Stay tuned for the next episode. Oh, I'm all over the place. As we get close to, Kai wants to ride local stuff and zero in on better performances, which in summer in Texas, that's kind of difficult to do, but we'll work on that. And then also, he'd really like to go do gravel nationals in Nebraska. And somebody reached out to me and said that if I wanted to come up to Nebraska, he had a place for us to stay. I need to look to see who that was. And I think it was Lincoln, Nebraska. And I'm 100% on board. And I feel terrible that I can't remember his name right now. And that would save a ton of money as far as a place to stay, and also go up early and pre-ride some of the areas. I looked at some videos of last year's Gravel Nationals course, and dude, it is beautiful. 137 miles of rolling terrain, western Nebraska on the border of Montana. So you start getting into this kind of just like giant open sky country. Was it Montana? Maybe it was Wyoming. Anyway, this open sky country where you can just see forever, and just wow, really pretty. And 137 miles, so it's not the worst, and didn't seem to be like too hilly, and it seemed like a lot of fun actually. And the town's really cool. It's just it's just a nightmare of getting there. It's like 3 hours north of Denver, so that's a long ways for us down here in Texas. It makes Unbound look close. All right, that's it. I'm going to go in and get some creatine, and then on the next show, we'll report back, see if it's working or not. And if you need some coaching, check out ZenDurance Coaching. You can send me an email at texafornia@gmail.com. And if you want to do some sponsorships on the show or announce a product or an upcoming event or be on the show, same thing. Send me an email at texafornia@gmail.com, or on Instagram. I'm Zen Triathlon on Instagram. Send me a direct message or message me to follow you so you can send me a direct message and we'll get it worked out. All right, everybody stay safe out there. Work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.